like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. Right girls, let her tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I don't recognize what's happening around here. Billy, Tony, Chris, I'm going to need some help because we are full-on bandwagon Knicks fans. I can't believe that this has happened. And do you understand what I'm saying, Cote, when I say I've never had a viewing experience that made me feel that particular thing over 4 games where who am I rooting for? I don't know who I'm rooting for. Let me see some game play out. Oh, is that what's rising up in me? I'd like Boston to win at the end. I'd like Tatum to get his moment. Brunson's had a lot of moments. He can wait a couple of years. Tatum is a champion now, and I'd like to see him prove it. That's where I was game 1. And then it all changed because the smallest guy is beating a guy that's now injured, and Boston is suffering today because the most overwhelming champion in the league, a team that made it look easy last year, is in big trouble because their best player is hurt. They are unlikely to be able to overcome this particular deficit, and Knicks fans are in position, in the Garden, possibly, for the first time since 1999, to witness a closeout game, and it'll be on Boston as a giant underdog.
I think the big question there with what you just said, that they have a chance to close out a team at the Mecca for the first time since 1999. Are there still enough balloons and confetti in the Raptors since they seemingly used them all in that one win they had against the Miami Heat? Are there enough balloons and confetti left over?
Let's talk about Knicks history for a second because beloved Jalen Brunson is a national phenomenon now. You cannot see how the game has changed, see Jokic exhausted, talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Edwards without now saying what New York's been saying for a minute. Hey, why isn't Jalen Brunson in this conversation? Is it because it's like college football? We decide who the MVPs are before the season in the preseason rankings, and then when someone shows us something and slays a giant, we won't allow Jalen Brunson to climb into the conversation of, well, is this a franchise changer like Giannis? If what you're getting is fourth quarter, you know your guy, you trust him, and you can ride that for 5 years. You've got the guy that in the fourth quarter, I don't know that Boston has that. The guy that in the fourth quarter, you know as a fan base, he's our guy. We trust him even if he misses. Yes, let him take all the shots. The reason I recognize it is because Dwayne Wade was that once upon a time.
There's some good irony last night, right, where before the game they're showing the Mavericks room celebrating it, getting the number 1 overall pick. And it's like, oh, yeah, they could have had Brunson for $55 million. Not $55 million a year, mind you. $55 million for the duration of the contract extension.
Mavs had a good draft that year. They had a Slovenian guy who's pretty good, Luka Doncic, and then Brunson.
So I'm going to be forced in this day and age, you guys tell me if I have this incorrect, because in 2025, it feels like the transaction and the numbers have dwarfed everything. And so I believe it's possible that if I put these stories next to each other and ask the audience, which is the bigger item today that you would like to discuss? Holy shit, the Mavericks, that's funny. The transaction, or holy shit, New York and Boston, top of the food chain, can the Knicks win a championship? Because if teams start getting inexperienced and injured on both sides, all you've got to do is be one of the last 4 standing, and you can get what is a lucky break on Tatum. That was awful to watch, and I think most people want to see champions be champions and be able to defend their throne. I believe while Knicks fans might selfishly be happy that with the dehumanization of I'd like to see a great athlete writhing because his Achilles hurt, my sports fandom is so not human that I want to look at Jason Tatum and be happy that my team's going to advance because it has a better chance. I think most sports fans were like, that stinks. Nobody wants to see it happen that way.
Well, to watch Jason Tatum in a wheelchair sobbing with his head in his hands was heartbreaking. I don't care if you're a Knicks fan. It was heartbreaking.
Doesn't the wheelchair mean he's going to come back in the game?
That's usually the precedent for Boston.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. But I am the exception to your unified bandwagon theory. Okay, the best story in sports is going to be Boston winning 3 in a row without Jason Tatum. If that happens, that's the best story in sports. I continue to be a closet Celtics fan because they were my first team. Sam Jones, Havlicek, Bill Russell.
Back in my day, hold on a minute. Get this music. Hold on a second, Chris Cote. Let's seed the stage to original Celtics fan Greg Cote, so he could talk about the halcyon days of Carl Yastrzemski. And, well, you laugh, but let's get the music here for back in my. Yeah, go ahead. Tell us all about how once upon a time traitorous Greg Cote loved the Boston Celtics because he has no taste.
Okay, Bill Russell, the greatest champion in the history of sports, and later a champion off the court. Sam Jones with those bank shots off the glass from the corner. What a player he was, underrated. John Havlicek, Hondo. They just had a wonderful team back then. It made me, this is decades before the Miami Heat, it made me fall in love with basketball. So yeah, to this day, I go back in my day as an original Celtics fan, and I still root for the Celtics. Unlike yourself, Dan, I don't change my allegiance just because somebody had a big game. And by the way, Jason Tatum last night, I believe, had 42 points or something. So he's capable of leading that team to a championship. But will he get the chance? Of course not. Will the Celtics win without him? I wouldn't write them off.
Greg, quick question. So on the Sam Jones, he's got the bank shot from the corner. How mathematically?
What you were describing there makes no sense.
I
and
was
I think,
totally thinking the same thing.
Let me explain something to you because this
corner-ish.
Look, man, Greg Cote loves nothing better than to tell a yarn from a time no one remembers, so you can't change any of the details because he didn't actually see Wilt Chamberlain's first game. He just remembers that way.
I remembered seeing it.
So Sam Jones, you may not remember him, Tony, because it was 40 years before your time, but yes, he would frisbee the basketball several loops around the backboard, and then it would go in. That's how Greg Cote remembers it.
Sure.
Nobody's old enough to question him about it.
Okay, when I say a bank shot from the corner, I mean the corner-ish. Okay, like he was not obviously.
So like the wing.
Wing. But the point is, he would take intentional bank shots. That was his style.
It's like when the guy shoots from the corner and it winds up grazing the backboard and goes, "That's bullshit. I didn't mean to do that."
But he did it every time. Wow.
Yeah,
Incredible
Sam Jones
player.
though was a bank shot artist. Believe me. And so the Celtics going to roar back without Tatum, win 3 in a row.
This is a little strange to hear, is it not? Because I don't think anybody thinks that. Boston fans don't think that right now, right? Boston fans do not think that they are going to rally in this series.
Okay, somebody has to save the NBA and NBA fans from a Timberwolves-Pacers final. Somebody has to save the league.
And that guy's Peyton Pritchard.
And the TV network. What a player. 6th man of the year. Now, 5th man of the year.
There's only one Sam Jones that
He's right
matters.
about that.
Because Tatum's hurt.
And
so
that's
he
Kim
moves up.
Cattrall's character from Sex and the City, because it's all about New York right now. It is all about Knicks in 5 right now. It's all about the bing and it's all about the bong.
Please, Billy, let's rise up on behalf of New York. I can't believe I'm saying it.
Me? Rise up on behalf of New York?
I
don't
believe
know, you guys are kind of embarrassing yourselves.
Yeah,
if
I
I'm
think
going to
so,
be
too.
honest
What are
with
you
you.
talking about?
You
It's
guys
kinda
are
sad.
big Heat
Yeah.
fans. Oh, the Heat, the Knicks, which, by the way, I don't think
Only
Knicks,
one Heat fan here, by the way.
Knicks fans never think about the Heat, ever, just for the record. Like, they do not think that it's a rivalry the way that you guys think that the Knicks thing is a rivalry.
He's trying to
And
explain.
now, all of a sudden, you're here and you're number one Knicks fans? Like,
Yep.
I don't understand you guys.
So here's how I can explain it. I once went to the Darts World Championship in the UK. I walked in that building, and you know what I said immediately? Guess I love darts now. Guess darts are my thing because this is so fun. So I was watching last night. Guess I'm a Knicks guy now because that was so fun. That was a moment that only the Mecca could deliver.
I'm totally rooting for the Knicks also, but when the Knicks advance, because, I mean, Cody, 3 in a row without Tatum, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it'll happen.
When the Knicks advance, I'm not rooting for the Knicks anymore. Like, next round,
Same.
it's over for me.
Same.
Okay, all right.
Maybe some residual effect in the Eastern Conference Final because I also hate the Indiana Pacers too.
But you don't want the Knicks to win the championship.
No,
Okay.
no. I want
'Cause then
basically
you'd
want
be
to
a nuts man.
No, I want to thread this needle. I want to destroy Boston and enjoy the New York, all the fun elements of it.
That's what I'm talking about. You got Chalamet, he's all excited.
Yeah, he's great.
You got Ben Stiller, he's excited. Tracy Morgan's puking on the court, he's excited.
Anyone else worried about just the city of New York? Because if you look at these celebration videos from just this round, what are they going to do?
Okay, people,
they're flooding the
listen,
streets.
This is such an amazing thing, honestly, to witness, because when Zaslow says the players are courtside, they have to eject Charles Oakley, and the fan base rallies to the side of Charles Oakley because they're like, what's wrong with you, owner of the New York Knicks, James Dolan? You don't deserve any of this. Oakley's what Knicks basketball is, according to my dad and my grandfather. And what Knicks basketball is in New York, even though it's a loser, according to my dad and my grandfather, is the greatest feeling this city has ever known. Not in football. It used to be baseball. The Knicks, when they grab this city, the Knicks exist at the center physically of the city. They call Mecca the Garden because there's nothing like it. What New York is about to become, and this part is the fun of it for Miami, because I can respect Jalen Brunson. I can enjoy that Jalen Brunson brings me the joy of hating the Celtics and enjoying their fans' tears. But in one of the next 2 rounds, I'm going to see all this loud shut up by another team that's better than this Knicks team.
Knicks don't think about the Heat. What a ridiculous statement.
They
that
don't
was.
think about the
Get out of
Heat.
here. What is that? Rent-free. Established. 1988. Like, what are you talking about?
I
They don't
don't
think about the
understand.
Heat. They lose to the Heat constantly. The Heat have won 3 titles since they were
Go on.
granted a championship team.
They're better
The
than
Knicks
the
have
Heat.
1 title that they don't shut up about.
Go on.
Of course they think about the Heat. Every free agent they think they're going to get the Miami Heat get. I mean, they're having their moment right now. Okay, yeah, they're thinking about Boston right now. They don't think about the Heat. I mean, I have eyes, I have ears. I watch those games. It still means something.
Well, you're a Knicks fan.
I know, and I think about the Heat nonstop.
Bing bong. You all are a bunch of non-Knicks fans. What a bunch of fraudulent Knicks fans.
That's what I'm saying. You guys want to be Knicks fans, but you just want to be Knicks fans for one more win.
That's exactly right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You guys are
Ooh,
ridiculous.
you showed me, Billy. Yes. Yes.
I'm not trying to show you. I'm trying to understand you guys,
Yeah.
and I simply don't.
Well,
It's about
no, it's-
hating the
it's-
Boston
We
Celtics.
hate
That's what it's
Boston.
about.
We hate Boston. This is fun. This is
Yeah.
a fun team to beat Boston. I mean, I think it's simple as pie.
I actually went to bed last night knowing that the Celtics were down 3-1. I went to bed with a smile on my face. Literally, I was like this.
So happy. I was so happy.
I fell asleep like that.
But you're not a Heat fan. Like, we've gone over this for 2 weeks now. Like, you're a Panthers fan now.
Why do you have your middle fingers up?
I slept so well.
When's the last time? Hold on, get in that position again. And when is the last
Middle
time?
fingers.
That's every Panthers night, right? Or
Oh my! You better believe it.
Billy, you're not wrong. It is wrong. It's immoral of this show that has hated New York for
Yes.
more than 25 years because New Yorkers have infected this town.
I feel like we're acknowledging what you point out as a hypocrisy, and I would just alert you to the fact that we hate Boston more.
So much more.
Well,
We
but
hate
this
Boston
I didn't
more
realize.
and consistently.
See, I'm sorry, but what dawned on me, right? I'm old-timey, alleged, pretending to be objective journalist like Greg Cote here, a dinosaur in the modern age. And what I don't very often feel, this does not stir inside me very often. I haven't felt a form of this feeling since 2010 through 2014. Oh, I'm here for just the hatred. I'm here just to see everyone broken by OKC holding up the title, and we can all walk away and like, look, we were losers this year in Miami, but, we almost got Cooper Flag.
I mean, the only real Heat fan here, you're looking at him right now. You're listening to him
Here
right now.
too.
I told you guys there's
This
only
should
so
be
many
wait,
times
this
I could have
victory lap.
prophesied this.
Wait a minute. This is a victory lap 2 years in the making. Tony, go to the victory lap room. You deserve a long, strong soliloquy here on Tony's been telling us for a while, tank for Wemby, tank for Cooper Flag, and right here, the percentage of balls broke. I still believe, you guys think I'm wrong on this? That a bigger story last night than Knicks, put it on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Bigger story last night. Knicks go up 3-1 or Dallas gets the pick. And then you get the Nico story because I think the transaction has topped the action now. People want to talk about it's not about the games. It's about the
To be fair, though, I think the biggest story from last night is Jason Tatum might never be the same. He might be out for a full season. I mean, this series is one thing. Like the biggest story in the sport was one of the game's biggest stars has an apparent Achilles injury.
Well, it's both, because I don't think I'm being hyperbolic when I say because of those two things, Tatum's injury and what it means for the future, not just this series, what it means for the future of the Celtics, and the fallout of Dallas getting the number 1 overall pick. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic when I say I think the landscape of the league changed last night as far as the future.
It was a moment. It was a moment in time where you can absolutely circle back, and I cannot wait to do the investigation on all the veins that sprouted out from this performance, because, yes, that was a monumental game.
I think the
for
landscape
the history
of the
NBA.
entire league changed last night.
Can we talk about this, please, if you guys are actually fascinated, as I think you are, about the transaction? Because Celtics were already talking about changes because just the cutthroat competitiveness of this league, where now all the teams need to be better at threes than all the other teams. Like that, how do you build the machine faster? And what's being built in OKC, Brad Stevens is smart enough, and Danny Ainge before him, draft pick hounds, where you can get the most valuable thing in sports right now. Fixed costs. Numbers are dominating the game. The hedge funds have come for this sport, and they have ruined some parts of sports with all of their numbers, and the second baseman's holding a card, and a line drive over second base isn't a single anymore. It's just an out because everyone knows how to play everyone else, and the game becomes less fun. We are at the middle, and Zaslow's got this exactly right. Exactly right. In all these conversations, how do we fix basketball? Face of the league, is it going to be Anthony Edwards? Jason Tatum was applying for the job. Jason Tatum needed to win more championships, make more moments, and he could be face of the league because Magic and Bird and Michael Jordan and David Stern all made it so that basketball would be about the stars and the stories. Steph's about to be gone. LeBron's about to be gone. The league needs to be taken over. Jason Tatum is a perfect candidate for face of the league. But this injury is a crusher, and on this night, losing was a very small part of why this hurts for Boston, because they were about to change that team anyway because Drew Holiday's older. It was 3 playoffs ago that Drew Holiday was saying out loud, I can't guard Jimmy Butler. I want to retire. And Boston goes and gets him, gets Porzingis, and they build the faster car. But it's not faster anymore because the engine just blew.
And by the way, Tatum is likely out at least half of next season.
But that's why the engine just blew, because and that injury is hard to come back from, and Kevin Durant hasn't quite been the same since he chased a championship this way, because the Achilles affects you on defense. Like when you're saying that what happened last night, when Jason Tatum is crying, I don't know if anyone heard a gunshot, but everyone that I heard from immediately that knows about these things says, yes, that's an Achilles. That's not just a non-contact injury. That's a brutal injury. And people around, if it is indeed an Achilles, would have heard a sound that doesn't sound human, and it seems like Jason Tatum.
It's that noticeable, the sound of it?
It can be on just an Achilles. If people were there near it, they would have heard the sound. It pops, and it feels like a gunshot, and the fire that burns through you, and I'm just, obviously it hasn't happened to me, is something that you know immediately, oh, I'm out for 9 months. Well, I shouldn't even say you know that immediately. First, you're in terrible pain, and then you know immediately, I know what that is. I'm not playing anymore this season. I'm finished, and I'm crying in a wheelchair, because in some ways, I'm guessing, Mike, he realizes what you're saying. Ooh, I'm fighting with 5 guys for this era of basketball, and I just felt behind by 9 months.
And he was having the game. He was going shot for shot with Jalen Brunson in the NBA playoffs at Madison Square Garden. He was shushing the haters. He was stepping up to the moment. And it was moments like that that would actually put him in that tier.
To be fair, though, in that moment, they were not winning that game.
They were not winning the game.
They were not going to win that game.
No, they were not winning that game. And I guess this will allow Boston fans to kind of, if they lose this series, it'll soften the blow a little bit because they'll rationalize that maybe the Knicks aren't better.
Oh, I don't think it softens the blow at all because their team is never going to be the same.
It's never going to be the same, and it's
Tatum
never going to be as
will never
good.
be the same.
And you kind of get a little glimpse into your luck last year.
Oh, I don't think it's that Tatum's.
I don't
never gonna be
think
the
it's
same.
that Tatum would never be the same.
No, it's everything
either.
around him.
I think no, Greg. You
Your
can
point about defense is a good one.
you can come back from this, but it when he's in that wheelchair crying, trust me when I tell you these men have great pressure on them because their bodies are economies. This injury is one that's feared throughout the sport, and it's the one that Kevin Durant risked in chasing Golden State's championships and has never been the same. I mean, you can come back from that, certainly at Tatum's age. He's young enough. But what Greg says there, that he won't ever be the same, that is not entirely true.
Okay, I think it might be, though. And,
It can be.
I guarantee you when Tatum went down, he knew instantly what the injury was, and I would bet big that the thought goes through his mind, this could really wreck
If
me.
it's an Achilles, right, they have not actually reported that yet, right?
No.
Like
No, it's just a bunch
some
of
people are
Twitter
saying
docs.
broken leg, so I don't even
broken leg.
like or what, fractured fibula?
I mean, it looks like an Achilles. Everyone on the internet seems
Have
pretty
you
strong
checked
about
Twitter?
this.
Everyone's a doctor.
Yeah, everyone's a doctor right there. I mean, it would be a weird broken leg situation, but yeah, it's a really tough scene for Boston, and that's their star player. There are few losses that feel as devastating as that. You probably lost a series. You lost your superstar. You knew that headed into the offseason you were going to reshape what was a championship team, and now you have all sorts of doubt because I guarantee you the plans were to build this team around Jason Tatum, and now you have a flaw in your plan.
Why didn't Missoula just yell for him to get up?
And the other thing, Greg Cote, that you're saying when you say that Boston might rally, the other thing that all of Boston realized while he was crying in that wheelchair, we will not win the championship this year.
Yeah.
That ends right here in this wheelchair. Might as well put our season in it and roll it out because the teams are too good that are remaining. Even if Mobley's out, you can't. Losing this guy, the third best player in the league, who makes 40 look easy. Who is a player not quite Steph Curry, but there haven't been a lot that size in the Durant class of can make 40 look easy and be the third best player in the league. You lose that for the season, your season is over. And if not now, soon.
Everything goes out the window. Celtics fans are coping with the fact that, okay, we're not dynastic. we're tearing this thing down again.
That's the worst part. Like they were supposed to be this unstoppable team again this year, even though they're the 2 seed. It was going to be back-to-back champions. And now, if we're being honest, are the Celtics winning again anytime soon?
No, now they might be looking at outlier, dead in the face, and they fear that too because now you'll look at their championship money. Like, look at everything that broke right for you on your way to that championship. You're getting a little taste of the other teams. Like, your best player goes down. You went through 3 rounds of that.
And as a huge Knicks fan, you love it.
Okay, so I want
happier.
to have an honest conversation with you guys because I'm being told here in my headset by informed sources that they have audio of me not only not being objective, but being a legitimate in something I said that only the audio team has found that is meant to embarrass me. Because before this series started, I made clear that we were sort of watching it just to dislike everybody. And I can't believe Mike saying that he's enjoying watching Ben Stiller enjoy himself. At no point in human history have Miami fans rooted for New York celebrities who are courtside, who think they understand that magical Knicks thing better than anyone does.
Well, they've never had Boston on the ropes like this in my entire life in the postseason, where Boston means this much to me. So if I'm acting in a way that you've never seen me before, it's because I've never been faced with this precise situation.
The Knicks have not hurt me and also have not hurt you in over half of my life.
Not since I was a child.
The Knicks have not hurt me in over half of my life.
I hurt them.
Well, that's why people hate the Knicks. They haven't won anything since 1973. Spike Lee was 15 years old, and a half a century later, there's an entitlement to a Knicks fan's attitude. There's no magic.
Say it with your chest.
I don't see an entitlement. I see excitement. They're just happy they're finally
They're
relevant.
always excited. They think they're going to win every year. They think they're better than everybody else
Okay,
every year.
That's so great.
Guys, listen.
When they inevitably fall.
Listen, this goes back a ways.
I thought you were a Knicks fan.
I am for this series.
So you should be the one that he's talking about.
Billy, why you have such a hard time understanding what's happening here?
You're supposed to be Knicks fans. You're supposed to take offense to this insulting thing he's saying
Not
about you
Knicks
for
fans.
this series.
We're rooting for them. We're rooting for the Knicks. When it's the World Series, okay, and two teams are playing whoever it is, there's one team maybe that you're rooting over the other because you'd rather them win. You're not all of a sudden a Dodger fan just because you wanted them to beat the Yankees last year.
Their culture is my costume right now, and the costume fits. I love it. This is so much fun. Boston is miserable, and there is a team that is – look, it could be anybody. It could be the Toronto Raptors. I would start talking with a Canadian accent. I would love what's happening to Boston. This isn't so much about New York, even though – man, it is a fun bandwagon when things cooking.
That's a fun home court advantage. The crowd, they're right on the court. Larry Johnson's jumping around. All of a sudden, I don't care that he was punching Alonzo Mourning.
It is a fun culture to pretend you are a part of. No doubt.
It is.
But it could be anybody.
There is.
Seriously. It could be anybody doing this to Boston.
It's rooting for not Celtics.
That's
right.
What it is. That's right. The Heat are long gone. All there is right now is rooting against Boston, and the Knicks are making me happy.
The Celtics winning back-to-back. Greg, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
The Celtics winning back-to-back championships. You think I need that shit in my life?
No, I don't.
All right.
No, I don't. One of the reasons I love being a sports fan is that I can't lose here. As a neutral sports fan, I can't lose here. If the Knicks win this series, and it looks like they might be relevant nationally, national championship relevant for the first time in 50 years, wonderful story. If the Knicks lose yet again, also a wonderful story. I can't lose. I'm a neutral sports fan. I'm waiting for a good story, and there's a great story here whether the Knicks win or lose. I can't lose.
What's the number on the Celtics rest of the series? Greg may want to get in on that.
That would be a great story, though. You got to admit, if they win 3 in a row without Tatum,
story. No.
Oh my God, what a great story!
No, I'm not in on that story.
As a Jason Tatum hater, I can also see like a silver lining there a little bit. But no, we want the Celtics to lose.
Okay.
And by the way, I did not enter this series thinking that I'd have my algo all switched to pro Knicks propaganda.
Oh, it's a little bit of Rock Hogan, WrestleMania 18.
Yeah. The crowd turned. I didn't know what I was expecting when I went into this, and the Knicks got me. They got their hooks into me, and I love them.
All right, let's go to Tony now. He's ready with a victory lap. Tony, you're feeling very victorious right now?
Yeah, I mean, Chris, you only have access to this kind of genius and this kind of just brilliance and oracle once in a lifetime. And I gave it to you guys twice in a lifetime. And I brought Dan in here with me because he knows. 2 years ago, Dan, when the Heat made that magical run to the playoffs and to the finals.
Tony deserves a raise for getting this so right. Tony was a lonely voice in a sea of assholes.
You're in charge of that.
You are in charge of that, Dan, by the way. We'll talk about that after.
I am in charge of that, but Billy, you're the reason that he hasn't gotten a raise. You've undercut him and gotten in the way of his career.
I knew that. Finally, we had that on wax. Thank you, Dan. So, you only have access to this kind of prophecy, this kind of oracle once in a lifetime. I gave it to you twice.
One of the great predictions in the history of Meadowlark Media, right up there with Amin saying that Geno Smith was going to have exactly the stats that he had.
That was wild.
No one's gotten it more right in 4 years than Tony.
So, Wemby. He could have had Wemby. We knew what happened there. I gave you guys another chance. I said this time, Cooper Flag, tank for him. The Heat had lost, 11 in a row? Ankle. We need a wheelchair. Somebody bring a wheelchair here. I'm gonna keep running. Hold on. Somebody come back for Dan. I'm gonna keep running. So, you only have access to this kind of genius once a year. And I'm gonna give it to you again. I told you. Tank for Cooper Flag. You had the 11 losses or 12 losses. You just weaseled your way into the play-in game. You could have won the play-in game and been happy and then got to the 11th seed. And we would have, to the 11th pick of the draft. And we see what happens there, okay? Now you win. You go to the first round of the playoffs with the Cavs. They destroy you. They dismantle you. You look like a G League team. And then all of a sudden, on my couch as I'm sitting there, watching the lottery just like this, okay? Being like, okay, let's see what happens. Because usually the pick is just in. All right, here, the Mavericks have the 11th pick. And then they keep dropping. Oh, they're in the top 4. Oh, that's what the Heat would have been, Barry Jackson says? Ira Winderman says the Heat would have had that pick? Oh, interesting. Okay. And then we open up the cards. Oh, Spurs get the number 2 pick. Oh, man. Sorry.
Why aren't you running?
Sorry. I thought I left Dan behind.
You're just in a soliloquy there. Listen to me. Tony's got the solo stage. Give it a victory lap.
I thought I left Dan behind. Okay, he's still here. I can hear his voice. So, when you open up that card and you see the Dallas Mavericks, and you could have envisioned the Miami Heat. Run harder! You could have envisioned the Miami Heat having that pick. And I told you guys in April, okay, this should have been the Miami Heat's pick. And vindication, finally. Sweet vindication, Dan. Sweet vindication. Carl, you heard that, Tony? Deserves a raise. Back to you guys.
You think that segment has legs? Yeah, we like it. I mean,
did you find yourself mad last night when, it was, I guess, we learned that would have been the Heat's pick? The Heat weren't in the draft lottery. It's not their pick.
I did find myself mad.
It doesn't bother
me. To answer
me.
your question, when I found out that the Miami Heat would have been slotted with the same amount of lottery balls
But they
as
weren't
the Dallas
in the
Mavericks.
lottery.
That's a non-story. I agree with Zaslow.
What do you mean it's a non-story? Had they lost
if.
not as a 10 seed made the playoffs, only to
They
just
made the playoffs.
Yeah, but they got their ass kicked harder than any team has ever gotten.
What are
their
we
ass
arguing
kicked
about,
in
by
NBA
the way?
history.
What are we arguing about?
Come on.
I'm saying, it doesn't bother me when I learned that would have been the Heat's pick. It's not the Heat's pick because they weren't in the lottery.
Right,
But they would have been if they wouldn't have won
know, but
and
they
gone their
weren't.
ass kicked in 4 games by the Cavs in the
Woulda,
worst
coulda.
playoff loss ever.
Through their own selfish, pig-headed actions, they found themselves out of the lottery and not having the number one pick. You know what would have made everything easier for Nick Garrison and Pat Riley on down? Having the number one pick. Yeah. You know what would have made having Giannis and photoshopped in your jersey a reality? Having the number one pick. Yeah. That would have made everything real. You get the number one pick, you're fast tracked to actually fixing everything. You can microwave it back up and you can compete for a championship because you were right there. You have 2 All-Stars that you can build around. Now all of a sudden you have probably the most valuable trade chip since Wemby went number 1. But Cooper Flagg, that's a guaranteed superstar. It's a can't-miss prospect. You can't have a number 1 pick that has more value than it presently has right now. And it's going to a team that made the NBA Finals last year. That was a punchline in the NBA that seemingly couldn't get out of its own way. But guess what they did? They didn't make the playoffs. Miami Heat had to just F around and make the playoffs to do what? Get their ass kicked by Cleveland?
To get Zaslow Pearl Jam tickets.
Why is the NBA so bad at not looking rigged?
Right. It's true.
I don't understand. For a league that's always accused of
funny.
rigging the draft.
It's the one league where everything is rigged.
It just, and at every chance that they get to not look rigged, they somehow make themselves look more rigged.
Do you think? Go.
Well, because you look back to the situation. So Luka goes to the Lakers, a team that the league wants to be very relevant and win a championship, right? But it's not just that he went there. It's the way in which he went there, where he was traded to the Lakers, but no one else knew he was available to even be traded for. And the compensation they got back for him was not great. So everyone was upset about that. So then everyone is saying, well, Nico doesn't know what he's doing. And then all of a sudden, oh, here you go, Nico. Here's the best player available. And, coincidentally, you're just going to be able to replenish your team after you sent a franchise that we want to be great, your best player. Here's another superstar just handed to you on a silver platter.
When Adam Silver gets word that they won, do you think he kind of is like...
Adam Silver puts out word that they won.
I'm just saying, okay. Do we really want to,
Allegedly.
who in this room legitimately thinks it's... I get it. It looks rigged.
Well,
It does.
The whole lottery system is ridiculous.
But is it rigged?
1.8% can win this grand prize.
Well, that's how
It's
a lottery
not
is.
fair.
That's a lottery.
I know, but it's not. There has to be a better way to reward teams on a system where the worse you are, the more chances you have to win. If 1.8% can win the grand prize, that's a bad system.
Well, when someone wins the Powerball, $500 million, do you say this is not the right way to do it? It's a bad system?
That's a
Same
bad
thing?
system for the NBA. I don't care about the Powerball.
You know what I learned the other day about Mega Millions? You know how much a Mega Millions ticket costs now?
Isn't it $1?
No, it's $5.
Really?
They raised the price of Mega Millions from $2 a ticket to $5 a ticket.
Someone asked me this recently. I was like, I think it's $1.
Well, so I went to the grocery store and I happened to have cash on me. I was getting some stuff, and Mother's Day was the next day. I'm like, it would be a great Mother's Day present for my wife. $110 million. Wow. She would love that. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get
Wives
her
love money.
My wife would love that.
$110 million? I mean, that's 2 years that we don't have to do anything. So I go and I say, you know what, I'm going to get her a Mega Millions ticket. And I was like, I'd like, 5 Mega Millions tickets. And I go to give the lady $10. She's like, do you know it's $5 now? And I'm like, no.
Are you winning more millions or the same amount of millions?
Okay, so I thought she was lying to me. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? So I go and I look it up, and she's like, yeah, it changed like a month ago. So I look it up.
Wait, you didn't believe her?
No, I didn't believe her. I thought something was up here. I thought that maybe we were like taking the $2. I thought maybe that was going on. Yeah. Because it seems crazy to me that you're going to charge people $5.
She's going to give. She sees him giving cash. Like, no, it's a lot more expensive.
$5
now.
No, because the thing is, like $2, you could pay $5. I imagine the number of tickets being sold is a lot less. Like you have to think twice. And if you're like in a state where you could play Powerball or Mega Millions and Powerball is $2, why would you pay $5 for Mega Millions? So I look it up, and like Mega Millions, it's like a spokesperson said that now that it's more expensive, the pot will go up faster and it increases your odds of winning. And I'm like, unless, and I didn't buy the ticket, unless they reduce the number of numbers, it does not increase your chance of winning. You still have the exact same odds of winning.
Right.
Less people playing doesn't increase your odds.
Right, correct.
So, like, Mega Millions, $5. Bad job by that.
Yeah, but
Tool of the week.
Are there any rules about this?
Hall of Famer?
I don't.
The fans vote on that, Zaz. You know how it goes.
I don't play the lottery, but I'm wondering if there are any rules. Example, what prevents Jeff Bezos from buying $10 million lottery tickets? 10 million lottery tickets.
Nothing.
So all of a sudden, the billionaires are winning the Powerball.
Well, so here's how it could work, because I've also thought about this, right? I think your chance of winning is like 1 in 700 and whatever million, right? So theoretically, you can go and you could buy every single number if the pot is high enough and guarantee that you will win the Powerball, right? So if the odds are like 1 in 600 million and the pot is at 1.8 billion, you could spend 1.2 billion and guarantee that you will win because you have every single number, right? But you have to do that, and then it's taxed. And then what happens if someone else has your number? And then you have to split the 1.8 billion, and now it's like 900 million.
Then you got to decide: do you do the lump sum, or do you do the yearly pay? You got to go
lump sum, baby. Lump
gotta
sum.
go lump sum.
I can get hit by a bus tomorrow.
Bunch of suckers doing that yearly payout.
Yeah, got to lump it.
I actually hurt my ankle a little bit there. That was not a fake fall. I think Tony felt me tumble into him, and so I needed some training and some help there. Tony's not wrong on everything he said. No disagreement, right? I couldn't hear on the floor what people were saying to you, and you sounded a little winded. But yes, of course, it would be really nice to have Cooper Flagg. In fact, it felt to me somewhere Bill Simmons is rooting for Cooper Flagg in a way that seems sweet. And he has been understanding that this is a player that can be transcendent.
Well, this is why I probably the same thing I feel, where I didn't want to go to Charlotte. I didn't want to go to Washington. Dallas is probably, like when it came down to the final two picks, Dallas and San Antonio, it's like, all right, he's going to go to a pretty decent spot.
Well, is he? Yeah. Or is he going to get traded for Giannis? Because you were the one to throw out immediately with the Giannis reports, like, you get that number one pick. You call him Milwaukee. This is one of the more valuable number one picks of all time.
Okay, so I'm only going by what Nico Harrison has told us. Like, Nico Harrison traded away Luka for Anthony Davis because he has a 3-year window. They have a 3-year window as an organization now to win a championship. So if that's the case, you have to trade the number one pick, right?
But the Kyrie Irving injury now changes the math there a little bit, because if you had Kyrie Irving with AD and then you add a Cooper Flagg, okay, you've got a nice core. Now Kyrie's out, and it's like, all right, do we have to make something else happen because that championship window, that championship core is now missing a third?
Well, then what you're saying is then he has to now trade Anthony Davis because the 3-year window is based around Davis, and if they're abandoning the 3-year window, again,
but defense
his words.
Wins championships. His words.
His words.
You get Giannis and Anthony Davis. I don't care who the third piece is.
I'm going by his words, based on the reason he made the Anthony Davis trade is because they have a 3-year championship window, and if that's unless he's changing his entire plan, they have to trade a pick.
I'm sorry, Billy, to interrupt you, but Cote has made some fun of Zaslow on this, saying that Cote is more of a journalist than Zaslow is. Well, but I happen to know that Zaslow's got legitimate sources. I believe that Zaslow could break news right now about knowing what the Miami Heat is already in play for.
This is not about them.
Here we go.
Well, but no, but I think
Zaslow,
do I have this wrong? Do you not have? Hold on. Do you not have exclusive sources that would say to you exactly who could be? Look, guys, guys, I know it's not about the Miami Heat, but Zaslow has breaking news here.
From what I understand, Giannis interested.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I know we saw the report yesterday from Shams.
He's open to everything.
He's open to everything.
He's
okay.
interested in literally every team.
Well,
That's what we heard yesterday.
he's definitely not interested in every team.
Are you saying Shams is a liar?
Yeah, well, no, but I'm saying
Hold on,
that if
hold on,
Shams,
hold on. Did you say
go ahead.
Shams is a
Sorry,
liar?
Sorry.
Just to be clear.
Well,
You're calling Shams a liar.
said Giannis is open to everything, right? Okay, well, I'm saying that's a little bit much. He's definitely not open to being traded to the Washington Wizards. So I'm not calling Shams a liar, but I'm just saying he's not open to everything. He's not open to going to the worst teams. But I will tell you, Giannis, interested in the Heat.
And not the only one in this group of people that you're talking about, because I do believe that Anthony Davis would have some moves here, would he not? Anthony Davis is a power broker, whether he's injured or not. I don't know who you think these 10 players are in the league, but when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's one of them.
Yeah, so that's where this also becomes interesting, right? Because I'm going by Nico Harrison's words. He has a 3-year championship window. But because like Tony said, if the Kyrie Irving injury is going to change everything, well, you kind of got to go around and trade away Anthony Davis. Like, pick a lane, pick a direction if you're the Mavs. And if they're picking the direction of Cooper Flagg, then you need to trade away Anthony Davis because that's not a 3-year window. And Davis could be another guy, again, power broker, who could be interested in Miami.
I mean, but Cooper Flagg was part of the Luka trade. So, he knew this was happening. Like the league said, we'll give you the number 1 pick in Cooper Flagg if you just give Luka to the Lakers.
Billy, so you speak for a not quiet minority that believes everything that happened there is bull. Because it's too perfect a story, all of it. And Nico wins. How does Nico win in the end? That is a stunning move. It's against all odds. The Nico story.
Let's see how he manages this situation.
In the history of the NBA, big-time controversial trades. Remember, the league stopped Chris Paul from getting traded to L.A., and they said, hey, you better trade him to the other L.A. team. Guess what? We own the Pels at this time. You get the number 1 pick. Anthony Davis, everybody wants Anthony Davis. Oh, we're going to trade him to L.A.? Great. You trade him to L.A., guess what? You get the number 1 pick. Luka Doncic, no one knows that he's available.
You could also add LeBron went to Miami. Okay, Cavs, you get the number 1 pick.
And they get Cavs 7 number 1
Luka,
picks to
you
try
go
to
to
fix
LA,
that situation.
you take care of L.A., you get the number 1 pick.
Okay.
That seems to be the deal in this league.
Here's the thing. If they're rigging the draft, people would go to prison.
Nah,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
You have rich people going to prison?
Yeah, come on, man.
Also,
how are we so certain that Nico is going to take Cooper Flagg with the number 1 pick?
Well, doesn't it get interesting where if Nico says, "Hey, I got a 3-year," if Nico says, "Hey, I got a 3-year championship window, so I'm going to trade away this pick," do the Mavs then let him hey, the reaction to the Luka trade went so well. Yeah, we're gonna let you trade away the number 1 overall pick as well.
Can I ask you guys a question? Why does the NBA think this is a good system? The lottery
awful.
system. Why do they think that? Why do they insist on this? Because we really don't have complaints about how the other sports do it. You have a system in which every year people allege is rigged. Everyone thinks that when the draft breaks certain ways, the first accusation from the masses is it's rigged, and also you're not actually doing anything to curb the tanking. You had Utah and Washington tank all year. They knew it wasn't guaranteed. They end up with picks 5 and 6. It ain't stopping the next Utah and Washington from tanking. It's literally not doing anything it's designed to do, and also everyone thinks it's rigged. Yeah. Why is this system still in place?
I mean, it does curb teams from tanking a little bit, right? A little bit.
It only curbs
doesn't
one.
seem like it
is. A little bit.
It's only curbing this one that resides down here in Miami.
They also changed the system.
Flatten the odds.
And now it looks even more rigged than it did before they changed the system to make it not look rigged.
Why is this still around? Everyone has an issue with it. It's the worst of the major sports. It is literally working against the interest that it was designed to protect. I don't get why we still do this.
And there are models to improve the lottery, and one of them is to put extra weight on a team's record in the last 20 games of the season. I mean, there are ways.
That's interesting. So you would take chances away from them if they're especially bad the last 20 games?
NBA 2K fixed it. There are options to fix it.
That's not a terrible idea.
You have a little mini tournament. You take the final third of the season into account. There's so many possible solutions where teams can actually play into this, and you can reward not tanking. The league just refuses to do it. And you can only assume they love this stuff. They love everyone accusing that it's rigged. They love teams tanking because they're not doing anything to actually stop it.
You see the NHL system. The NHL had their draft lottery last week. Their system wouldn't allow Dallas to get the number 1 overall pick. You're only able to move up, like, if you win the draft lottery, you're only able to move up a maximum of, like, 8 spots.
Okay, Chris Cote, the Le Batard family tree of friends, Jorge Sedano has been ahead of this particular curve for many years. One of the first controversial things I ever heard Jorge Sedano do is he told the commissioner of the league, David Stern, that his league was fixed.
I remember this.
Yeah, well, can we call Jorge Sedano and just talk to him about this? Because what you guys are alleging here is outrageous. However, if I may just answer your question for a second.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
Thank you, Tony. Didn't seem like anyone else knew what to do there. We missed Stugotz. Zaslow doesn't know how to replace him. He's a pale imitation.
I'm living my life.
Who's putting their name on rigged? Because we're doing a lot of talking about, it looks rigged.
Everyone thinks it's rigged. Why don't they
do you actually, though?
Yeah.
Nobody really
I
does.
don't actually.
I do. Why don't they just give the number 1 pick to the winner of the in-season tournament that they're trying to make a thing?
You know that it's a major accounting firm, Ernst & Young,
Yeah.
that is in charge.
And accounting firms have never defrauded people.
Okay, but why would they risk going to prison
Seriously.
for the NBA?
I mean, people go to prison for all kinds of stupid reasons. It's
Stupid
ego.
basketball.
Yeah.
They're not going to prison.
Stupid basketball
rigging a
terrorism
lottery?
out here.
Of course they would go to prison if they rigged the lottery.
Yeah. What's the law? What law covers that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm a
What
journalist,
law?
not a lawyer, so you're asking
Right.
me questions I don't have
He's a
all
judge.
the specifics to.
Okay.
I'm also a judge.
Yeah,
Yes.
with
He's a
bias.
He's a judge. He doesn't worry about
He's
the rules. He
rising
just
up
enforces
he
them.
is with prejudice.
Prejudice.
He is climbing up the ranks. He is both judge and journalist. So he's judge and jury.
And
He's sometimes
executioner.
executioner.
Right.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I apologize
Okay,
for doubting you.
but to answer
Sustained.
Mike's question, why do we love this system? Because the NBA is great at knowing before the rest of us did. Hey, stories and storylines are fun and entertainment. How about we throw in something everyone loves? It's gambling, a lottery. Make it totally random. Everyone loves a televised lottery. Look, you're going to watch a live television program.
they had game show music going the whole
yeah,
time,
you,
too.
were you hurt by Luca? The lottery fixes all of your dreams. Nico goes from terrible executive to star-studded one. And I think Billy's question is a reasonable one. Don't put it past him. He might not draft Cooper Flagg. He might draft
We don't know that.
He might draft someone else.
Rolando Blackman was pretty non-committal when they spoke to him after they won.
But the answer to Mike's question on what's fixed, because it is fascinating. I want to hear you guys actually argue about this, where the conspiracy theories lie. But it's not the games or the lottery that's fixed. It's the costs. Like, if you keep all of the fixed costs with all of these young players that are worth a huge amount of money, a Jason Tatum, and you negotiate the business of this, like, I understand your skepticism, but Zaz is right when he says all of this would be profoundly illegal to fix the lottery.
Right, but it's not stopping people from saying that it's fixed, which is a perception issue. And more importantly, it's not actually stopping teams from tanking.
But also, like, where is it in the Constitution? Because, like, right to bear arms, right to
Correct.
free speech, don't rig the NBA draft lottery. Like, I missed that amendment.
You know what also doesn't help the whole draft lottery is rigged is when the most famous player in the world, LeBron James, insinuates that it's rigged. Like, why does he insist on doing that? He puts out the laughing emojis immediately after. And don't forget, when he was on the McAfee show, what was it, like 4, 5, 6 months ago? And he straight up says he believes the NBA rigged the draft lottery in 2003 to get him to Cleveland.
I'd like a crack at answering that question psychologically, actually, because I've come around on, like, Billy's theory when he says Aaron Rodgers just is somehow addicted to attention. That's what the virus is. LeBron James, when Mike said yesterday of Pat Riley, he's being prideful here, duh. LeBron James has realized over the last 20 years the power he actually has, and it's because at this time of year, he's always the one everyone's talking about. It's been for 20 years. Like, that's where he went from kid to adult, after, 20 years old on. He's been the most famous athlete in the world, surprisingly normal in public, and the league just got taken away from him. Like, everyone understands that Steph injury, what it means, right? Like, they got Jimmy Butler for Jimmy. Give us 24 games of the crazy.
By the way, Jimmy last night.
No, but
Yikes.
no, please, all the needles to the legs you need. Give us just 24. Get Steph to the end. We'll take 24 days of crazy. Steph and LeBron are giving over the league right now. This is cold to say. Jason Tatum and the Celtics machine didn't just blow a tire last night. The engine blew. Like, the teams will get better at threes faster, and next year OKC will be better. Because they've got fixed costs. They've got, hey, you guys all got to stay in 7 years in OKC, Shea. You can't leave. You know why? We got you locked in. Please sign an extension now, because we had James Harden and Kevin Durant and we had Russell Westbrook. And we learned in a small market the thing that New York had to hire like a bunch of agents to figure out, which is if we have all the draft picks, we can keep them OKC fixed costs, because that lottery, it pays for everything. Like,
yeah, but you can have fixed costs without a lottery. I'm
talking about
I
the
simply
whole way.
do not comprehend using the fixed costs as an argument to keep the lottery.
No, but you're just saying
place.
the draft.
I'm saying the business of the sport on display for all of us to see, especially in the age where the transaction is so important that we're talking as much today about Giannis and about the draft as we are about the game that was played.
It's not for all of us to see. It happens behind closed doors with an accounting firm that the NBA hires, and the sources are, just trust us, bro.
Okay,
I can
there's
understand.
a room full of representatives of every team in there too.
I understand.
It's not wrestling, Mike.
I'm not alleging that it's rigged. I'm saying that everyone thinks that it's rigged, and there are reasons why everyone thinks that it's rigged.
But nobody talks about it being rigged the year that the team with the highest percentage likelihood wins. They're talking about it now because 1.8% won.
That's how you throw them off the scent.
That's
bring
an
it every
anomaly.
year.
LeBron did. LeBron gave voice to, they had the best odds that year, and what? They still fixed it to make sure I got there. There's plenty of reasons as to why people think it's fixed, because it's not super transparent.
But the idea of risking the credibility of a league just
No,
for
take away credibility.
Dude,
It's
they rigged
risking
the 06
league.
finals. There was a referee rigging the 2006 NBA finals. What are we talking
That's
about?
a rogue referee. This is like a league decision of like, all right, we're going to manipulate all these things.
It's a rogue referee that officiated a lot of games and was allowed to continue to officiate while an investigation was pending, and had other close referees that, I should remind you, are still officiating to this day.
You're playing both sides, though. You just said you don't actually believe it's rigged. And now you're like, but...
No, I'm not telling you what to think. I'm asking you if you'd like to. There's plenty of reasons as to why people think it's rigged. And also, one of the reasons it was!
You also have their officials, while not making bets, impacting the outcome of games, where, every team exactly how the official is going to referee that team. Like, the human element in basketball is crazy, and how much they impact the game.
Billy's dead on. There are so many betting trends for certain officials. Oh, you're going to want to take the road team here. There's a human element here. There's also, this guy favors this one team. There's absolute stats for that.
I'm sorry if you're being distracted by the automated voice in the background. Greg Cote, do you want to give a recounting? I don't know how much of this is going out on air. I've been sort of howling with laughter inside since Mike got to another octave of condescending with the phrase, "that I should remind you."
Yeah.
Like, once you get to "that I should remind you," you're just lost in the smell of your own farts.
No, dude. We're here having a conversation. Why would the NBA rig this? They rigged the finals one year. They rigged the finals one year. There's three banners up there. One of them was rigged.
Hold on.
Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
Are you good?
Nothing reckless about it. This is proven. This was documented. Do you not remember the NBA Finals in which Dwayne Wade got every call?
All right, Bennett Salvatore made those calls. It wasn't Tim Donaghy.
Come on,
dude.
what? It was proven to be rigged. What are we doing?
Judge Zaslow?
Rigged or not rigged, 2006.
Yes.
Not rigged. Legit championship.
Not rigged.
He rules with bias.
I rule.
With prejudice.
With prejudice?
With prejudice. There will be order in this court.
All right. All right, listen to me.
Bailiff, take that
All
man
right,
out.
Judge and journalist, real quick, Zaslow, any other heat reporting that you have for us? Just to be clear, is Zaslow reporting?
Yep. I am.
Greg, no. I believe it would be news.
School's in session here, Greg.
I believe
Okay.
it would be news, and I believe that Zaslow has good sources. Did you just report? Because Billy is skeptical of all these reports. Did Zaslow, with his credibility at stake, just report that Anthony Davis and Giannis have expressed whatever it is that needs to be expressed so that the Miami Heat could get a whiff of that wonderful scent of joining the Hope Parade?
Listen, I am a respected journalist. I do have sources. And from what I know, and what I've been told from some of those sources, Giannis and Anthony Davis are both potentially interested in the Miami Heat.
Okay, so see, that's news.
But how do you get them?
Okay, see, that's where someone who went to journalism school knows, and you wouldn't. I would go to prison before I release my sources.
No, not the sources. How do you get both of those players?
It's a good question.
Completely
Duncan Robinson.
different question.
That becomes more complicated, yes. If for some
I'd
reason,
rather go to prison and figure that out.
A lot easier for me to answer what I thought I was
Okay,
answering.
I want to go back to that I should remind you. Chris, can I get a ruling on this? And I have to backtrack for just a second. Greg Cote owes the public an apology, and I owe the public an apology because I made a prediction, I guess last week, that the producers of this show are now wanting to embarrass me about because I'm woke, treat the athletes as if they're human guy, and don't make sports so important and your hate so important that you would dehumanize the athlete. This is sound of me. I don't know what the sound is that the producers are telling me is meant to embarrass me. That was my only sort of, before this series started, Dan's going to give you a prediction, and it's going to be the most right prediction that there is, but it's not entirely objective. It seems a bit biased. And the way I feel about both the Knicks and the Celtics fan base make it so that this game, I want the Meteor to win. I want both teams to explode, both teams to lose, both teams to get injured.
Woof.
Wow.
Not a good look for you.
No, that's embarrassing.
Victory lap?
Meteor. So
You
the meteor is going to hit the arena and just demolish it, and then thousands of people are
Innocent
killed, not just the two
bystanders,
teams.
yeah.
No, I wouldn't want innocent bystanders. Just a meteor hits the court and they can no longer play. Both sides lose forever.
If you had to choose
Very small meteor.
one arena, though, to get hit by a meteor, would it be a home game or a road game?
I don't think this is responsible, and I don't think we
Your
should.
words, not ours.
Well,
I'm just
I need
asking
to.
for
Okay,
clarity. I'm a
so-
journalist. I'm
well,
just pushing.
right.
You're not a journalist.
You would not go to. I'm glad you brought that up. You would not go to prison to protect your sources. If a judge came up to you and said, "Mr. Zaslow, 20 years, or give me your sources," you'd go to prison
Well,
for 20
as
years.
you know, I'm also a judge,
Judge
and
to
I would
judge, yeah.
never put myself in that scenario.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Not corrupt at all. Just like the NBA. On the up and up, you're a judge. You can do whatever you want. Above the law.
No.
Yeah. No, that's what you're saying. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
To be clear, that I should remind you, you would be a vending machine for sex in prison.
Who would want to have sex with him? Respectfully.
I mean, okay. Well, now I feel better.
Yeah.
about it.
No offense. It's respectful.
People that want to have sex.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Who would want to have sex with Zaslow? That seems like a cutting remark from the.
You
why
left
are-
out
why are
respectfully,
you
which
la-
was very
Zaslow,
important.
Zaslow,
There was
why-
respectfully there that you
Zaslow.
left off of that poll.
Look at this Punnam. This Punnam would not do well in prison. I would be holding someone's pocket.
They'd ask you to wear a
Yes.
blonde wig.
Yet I would never reveal my sources who told me that Giannis and Anthony Davis are both interested in the Miami Heat.
Look, he's reporting this strongly. Don't make fun of it. Like, Zaz has better sources than anybody except maybe Mike in college football and Billy at FIU. Like, and he's got better sources than Cody.
But you guys are
Okay.
the real journalists. This is a problem.
Can I say something? And this is not.
I'm over
meant-
here on this side of the room. Your finger pointed there. I'm right.
Okay, this is nothing against
Corner
Zaslow.
bank shot.
But when it's been reported that Giannis is open to everything, the report that Giannis.
You can look at me while you talk. Look at me.
The report that Giannis would consider Miami.
Yeah.
Not really big news when it's already been reported that Giannis will consider every credible offer.
Shame on you for piecing that one together.
Wow. I would say that it's easy for Giannis. Now, I don't know what Giannis people tell Shams. He's the best. He's the top guy. But it's really easy to say and make sure that everyone is not offended at this scenario. Giannis is open to everything, which also includes returning to Milwaukee. I'm telling you that specifically the Miami Heat have been mentioned by Giannis's people.
But can I ask you guys, because I do want to, this is a report. He's reporting this.
Put it on the crawl.
Can you guys put it on the crawl, please? Like, Cote.
Do you know any other team names that they've invoked, or do you just know that they've
every other one?
I'm only plugged in for the Heat.
Well, but wait a minute though. Greg, you can make fun of it, but the Anthony Davis component. Look, I don't know who you guys think are the dominoes falling on the finances of the game, but if they're let's just say for the points of this argument, let's just say that the Miami Heat would want to be in play for, I'm going to say, between 5 or 7 players, the last of whom at this point is Kevin Durant. Like, if you want to try to get Ja Morant or whatever it is that the machinations have to be, is that guy unhappy? And after LeBron still seeks this attention, how quick are the attention pans in every city where Giannis is already, okay, time's up, Milwaukee. You didn't do it with Middleton. You didn't fix the things. It's over. He's the first domino. We all know this. But if the Heat wanted 5 other calls.
They did do it with Middleton.
If the Heat wanted 5 calls from people, who would the people be? Embiid is on this list, yes?
Oh, my God, this is why people hate us.
Why did the Heat only have to get 1?
What are we doing?
Like, why not all 5?
What's going on?
There's 5 positions.
They have,
and they get 5 of them.
They have, like, a pair, and it's not suited. Like, it's just, like, what is happening?
Could have had the first pick.
I'm just saying, what's to stop the Heat from getting Kevin Durant, Giannis, Anthony Davis, LeBron?
A pair can't be suited.
And then you just put someone else in there.
Let me ask you something, all right? Because I'm just telling you. I'm being serious. I'm just telling you.
This is why us Knicks fans hate you guys. Yeah. It's just ridiculous.
For the next
you
2
guys
days.
don't belong in the conversation. You have nothing to trade for. You're an afterthought. The ringer took your knees out from under you. You're incapable of landing a superstar.
I'm telling you, though, that they're not an afterthought. And the question that I would have to you is when Giannis's people tell the Miami Heat that they are interested, which is what I'm telling you, they know, Giannis's people know that the Heat, in your words, don't have dick. Like, they know who's on the Heat's roster. They know the Heat's assets, yet they are still telling the Heat that Giannis is interested. So, like, what do we do with that?
Yeah, they're telling a bunch of teams that. And
Maybe.
a lot of the teams that they're telling that have much better capital to make this deal happen.
Maybe they're telling other teams that I don't know. Maybe.
No. They're talking to teams that have.
Well, who's got the better sources in this particular realm? Because I think I'm going with Zaslow. Like Ryan, we're having a off. No. Everybody, stand back. Stand back.
I'm not going against his report.
That I should remind you.
I'm not going against his report. I don't doubt that this has happened.
It's time for off.
Dallas is a lot better last night.
Yeah, they have a much bigger.
But I thought the Heat had in your words.
No, they
so
don't
is
have.
it a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing.
Or it can be bad.
Especially if it's like a big old honking massive hammer.
All right,
and that's what Dallas has.
we've gone
right
too
now.
far.
Enough.
They got a huge hammer.
Like a hammer.
They got a hammer like that guy that they would text you during COVID.
For the audio
Hold
audience.
on a second. No, Jesus Christ.
Uncle
No.
Dick.
Look,
Yeah, Greg's
that's
right.
not the show we're doing.
Dick had a hole in one, right?
5
Greg?
minutes.
Yeah, he did.
Major asshole.
Out.
You get like a
Out,
San
Mike
Francisco
Ryan.
Times
Out,
link and
Mike.
you click it, and
Out.
then all of a sudden, huge hammer.
Out.
In your face, and you're like,
Out.
you can't even get mad at
Out.
that guy's showing off.
Out. What's the matter with you?
You know the guy that I'm talking about?
We all do.
Stop.
Wild
What?
Bill.
Legend.
You grow up. I mean, Wild Bill.
Yeah, he's right.
We're talking about Uncle
Greg,
Dick.
what do you need to
What?
apologize to the audience for something that happened on the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote?
It was poor timing on my part.
It was fantastic.
My gripe of wrath this week was to rail against parents and coaches who turn their uniformed kids into money whores, if I'm being honest, to beggars who are outside a supermarket entrance begging money from people who walk in.
I ran into that at the Panther game 2 days ago.
Same.
Yeah,
So did I.
that's right. I don't like that, okay? I don't like that. But that was a very popular opinion because earlier in the show, I happened to mention that my wife and I had just been to a Michelin star restaurant at the Four Seasons and spent more money on a dinner than I have ever spent in my entire life.
He loves saying what he just said.
So that juxtaposition of me having a very expensive dinner and then
What kind of dinner was it?
it was, it was one of those 9 or 12
Right, but
course
what
meals.
do you know what you were eating? Like, how wonderful was it?
How many stars?
You love telling people this. So what is the genre of food you're eating?
Well, there were, as you can
Thank
imagine,
you.
from a 12-course meal, it was all different things, including, Wagyu beef and
It was just my dad having such a blind spot for 1 minute, bragging about $375 per person, and then like 5 minutes later, ripping these kids for asking him for $1 outside of Publix.
Oh
It-
my
like, he
God,
had
your
zero-
father is disgusting.
It
in
was
both can
terms of-
be
just like-
accurate.
No, but your father, in terms of entitlement, is one of the great white men I've ever seen.
And then it was great. His logic on donating, he's like, if it's my kid's team,
Yes.
I'll donate. And I'm like,
Yes.
you realize with that logic, nobody
Yes.
would ever donate
No,
to any
it's
team.
so great.
Okay.
It's so great. Your father is awful here. As a 70-year-old man who's
If
about
it was
to...
my granddaughter,
No, look,
I'd give
You're
$5.
panhandling.
Here we go.
Have a car
Here we
wash.
go. Here
Give me
we go.
something for the transaction.
Here
if
we
I'm
go.
giving you $10, wash my
Okay.
car.
Well,
All
don't
right.
they usually have candy they're
right.
selling you for?
All right, Zaz, I'm going to need you to stand back, sir.
See,
Stand down.
No, Zaz is right.
No, I'm
See,
asking if they
the
did.
Girl Scouts, if I give them $5, they give me a box of cookies. Since when do you just could you give me money and they all have a bucket or something?
Okay, so they all have a bucket or something. Ladies and gentlemen,
These kids don't want to learn. They don't want to earn. They're looking for a handout.
The best is my dad also falls on both sides. He's on both sides of the argument. He doesn't have cash, but he doesn't also do Venmo. You have a barcode. I don't have that, and I don't have cash.
No, I don't do
So
any
I'm
of
like
that.
in this.
okay.
You know what I've done? I've mastered the art of pretending to be on my
that's
phone.
terrible.
When
Wow.
you
Wait,
want
can
to
you
ask
show
the
us how?
kids-
Wait, show us how you do it. So Dan, go ask him for $1.
No, wait.
Let's see how Greg fakes it.
Can we recreate this in another room, please? Because I'd like you all to experience, okay, what an entitled classist my friend Greg Cote is, who has no problem telling you down his nose about the expensive wines he had that he doesn't understand and the gourmet spices that he had that cost hundreds of dollars. I've never spent so much on a meal. It's crazy excess. Also, as I'm leaving, I fart and burp on the person asking me for $1 as I leave the Michelin
What accent is that?
5-star restaurant.
Who are you?
It's obnoxious, arrogant, entitled Greg Cote.
Okay. I raised my kids not to panhandle.
Here, we can do it right here. Hey, hi, sir. I'm with the Sunrise football team. Can you donate to my
Sorry,
team?
I'm on an important call.
Oh, well. Can you maybe on the way out? Maybe.
Yeah, the McGillicuddy file is in my upper drawer.
You
Oh,
can't,
wow.
you can't
Yes,
do it.
thank
Is that your go-to? Like, what's your
Okay.
go-to? I'm not really on the phone. Like, what do you say?
Can't do that.
Yeah, the go-to is because you only need
You actually
to-
say McGillicuddy?
No, the go-to is I'm walking into Publix right now. I'll probably be home in about 20 minutes. Do you need a carton of eggs? Even though they're really expensive now? Okay. Yeah, I'll get you a couple of dozen eggs.
I hope you
Like that
actually
with
put your phone up and not just use your hand.
No, I use my hand. They're kids. They don't know any better.
It's weird that like people go to these fancy restaurants because like a tire company told them to, right?
That's true. It is the Michelin tire
It's the
company.
same company. Like
It is.
that's a weird thing. It's like, well, the
so
tire company
scandalous.
said I got to
It's
go here.
so scandalous. You've got it exactly right.
And by the way, a week after winning that Michelin star, this restaurant pretty much doubled their prices.
Wow.
And we fell for it anyway.
All right, so again, Greg dying to tell you this story. Dying to tell you that he dined better than the
No.
peasant man.
Okay.
I will say this in Greg's defense. There is a couple times where I'm on the street, I'm at the stoplight, and then I see a gentleman who is not of youth football age.
Go on.
Who's walking up to me and's got the helmet, and I'm like, buddy, I don't think you play football, buddy. I don't know what you're doing with this. I don't like it. It's rife for scams, though. That's the one
Yes,
thing I
it
will
is.
give you, Greg.
Correct. And by the way, I wasn't dying to tell people how much money I spent on dinner.
The internet just criticized you for your blind spot of I had a rich dinner.
Oh, you
but I
don't-
don't want
but
to
It
give
happened to come up
$5.
on my podcast,
Chris,
the Greg Cote
So
Show.
what's the apology?
The apology is the timing of it was bad.
The timing.
I should have had better foresight.
Not
to-
the message, though.
Well, I don't think the message is bad.
That's not an apology.
And I don't
That
think most
isn't an
people. I don't
apology.
think
Chris,
most people disagree with me.
Chris, can we get the PR firm of McGillicuddy? And I don't think most people disagree with me. It's not just an apology. It's doubling down.
Okay, parents. I'm talking to parents and coaches now of youth sports athletes. Earn the money that you're asking for. Have a car wash. Have a bake sale. Sell lemonade out of an old-timey stand on the sidewalk out front of your house. Do something to earn the money. Don't just teach your kids, which I never did, to go out to total strangers with your hat in your hand and say, could you please give me money, sir?
Why do you think your son has a career in this business? You gave him to me, and that's been you panhandling for 20 years.
I think that's apples and oranges. I mean,
It's exactly the same thing. You think your son is qualified for the job he's presently in?
Of course he
You
is.
think he's the best person in all of America to run this, one of the great sports shows of all time?
yeah, well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration.
No,
but
your
He's
your
right
son,
here.
your
He can
son,
hear you.
you're the one who
your
hired
son,
him, so
your
he must
son
be
has
qualified.
a job because he's corporate nepotism welfare.
Okay, who hired him?
You did.
No, you did.
By being my friend, we put him in a job he's totally ill-qualified
This
for.
ends up on your.
He's
Think-
right.
that's
I'm
actually like
right here. He's
double
kinda hears you.
nepotism.
It's a you thing.
He hears
Double
you.
nepotism. You take care of Greg because he's your friend, and then you take care of Greg's son because Greg's your friend.
And what of it?
And Grayson's starting her internship next week.
Why are you putting this on other people?
It's what we've built. It's Greg Cote's entitlement saying, hey, you know how good I am at this thing? And this is what drives Zaslow crazy. You guys don't understand. You really don't. What a wonderful gig we've had. Zaslow is fundamentally offended by how your father treats this job as if he's such a stellar talent that he should be allowed to dine in all the best restaurants and tell the panhandler, I'm too big for you, so that he can do what Bert Kreischer and his buddy on Two Bears can do when they're breaking away whatever from their audience because they refer to their audience as the poors.
Okay, let me tell you something, Le Batard, because you're always taking all credit for everything. I earn my money, and approximately half of 1% of the money I earn comes from the Le Batard Show and me doing this show, okay? And that's a fact. Granted, most of the money is made by my wife, but still.
That's a fact, Jack.
That's, well, you know, that kind of thing.
But he's emotional.
And you know it.
When you get emotional, you forget your catchphrases.
Okay, I don't forget them. I just like to parse them. You know, I like to separate them. So
Zaslow,
gag.
I love him and his son, but Zaslow, you've been fascinated by this particular tree in our environment for a long time.
I think, yeah, I think you guys are lucky. I think you get in here and you're fiddling around with your microphone and you're showing up late. It'd be like if I wrote a column in crayon.
What time did you get here yesterday?
8:59.
Okay, I was here.
Time to show start.
I was here at 8:25.
Oh.
Oh, it's not just a off. It's
off.
a punctual off.
I am punctual, okay? And I don't rattle my microphone. I'm prepared. I have topics. I'm a professional.
You do rattle your microphone.
No, I don't.
When he's asked to by his son. And then his son starts playing sounds trying to convince him they're coming from his computer.
Yeah, your computer was beeping
Yes.
last week.
Yeah, and that was a fake, and I
Inside
exposed
job.
it as a fake.
Yeah.
By-
That's
by
journalism
pretending
right
to go
there.
Like this. Yes,
Mhm.
thank you.
Investigative
Billy
journalism.
knows.
Yeah.
Billy gets
Hell
it.
yeah, Dad. I'm Craig.
Damn right.
For those of you who are looking inside, this thing needs to keep churning, baby. DraftKings needs us to pump it out, and we are pumping it out. Whether alarms are going off and whether the building's on fire, we're going to keep it moving. But I want you to know that this particular fire is real. The connection between Greg Cote and Chris Cote, lest it felt disrespectful what it is I was just doing and saying around my friends who I love, and Greg can get prickly about this stuff, I realize is one of the most valuable things Metal Arc Media has, because the people who ride with us most firmly know that this show rode in protection of love and friendship so that Chris Cote could be in an executive producer job in which he's totally overwhelmed, overmatched. It's too big a job. Mike Ryan just wants to watch it from the corner. He doesn't even want to do it anymore. Nobody wants to executive produce the monster. Le Batard, he's out of control. He's sermonizing. Slow him down. He's going crazy. Why would he go crazy? It's not like America's going to or anything.
How's your ankle?
That legitimately here, Tony. I wasn't acting. Like
No.
you know that my ankle gave there.
It was the shoes, I think. Low-cut shoes.
I thought it was your Achilles.
This episode is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Boldest take is going to be in a second here. Boldest take is where we're headed, but I have legitimate tension in the room here that I need your guys' help with because in the space where we grow as a media company, Zaslow has gotten off to a hot start here with our show and has become a journalist in the last couple of months. The information game is very crowded. Around here so far, Mike Ryan is the only one who's wanted that lane, and he does not pretend to be a journalist. Mike Ryan says flatly, I'm a fan, I'm a booster, I'm a businessman, I care about the University of Miami first, but also more plugged in on NIL, more better information, starts his own business because the Canes are worth following, and he's got better information than anybody.
Thank you very much for the kind words. You're also selling me short because I broke the biggest story of all time.
A couple of them. It's not just that story. Congratulations on congratulating yourself.
No, it's just the messy one. People forget who broke that one.
Yes, you broke put it on the poll. Do people forget that Mike Ryan broke the messy story to Miami?
For like a year and a half, your boy was on that beat.
Okay, I thought we were celebrating you already. We don't need to celebrate you more.
You
just forgot one.
You omitted a pretty big one.
Okay,
people tend to forget that one.
I want to get
because I understand what I do within the scope of the University of Miami, but I'm also a booster. But Inter Miami, that was some good old school journalism.
All right, so your areas of expertise. I just want to cover this on behalf of what this media company becomes, and I know that Zaslow is saying he's judge and jury over here, but I think that Greg Cote would allege he's got the greatest of the journalistic credentials here in this room.
But he's a journalist.
He has a degree.
Are you,
right.
Greg? I don't want
Me
to put words in your mouth. This is one of the tensions we have in here right now. The second one's worse. The second one's a good deal worse.
Right. No, I'm the journalist here who's got the most experience at being a journalist.
What have you done for me lately?
I'm not claiming to have better sources than him or than Mike about football or
no, but on the Heat, he's reporting something no one's reporting.
Okay. All right.
What's funny about that?
Because if it is being nationally reported that Giannis is open to talking to anybody,
right?
Okay, wide open to talking to anybody, and then somebody in the wake of that says, my sources tell me that the Heat are one of those many teams that are interested in Giannis.
No, that's not what I said.
To me, that's not a huge
deal. No, that's not it. I said the exact opposite.
Yeah, he had a much more detailed report. That
Giannis is
news.
interested. Of course, every team is interested in Giannis. But is Giannis interested in every team? I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
I could tell you that Giannis is interested in the Heat.
Journalism 101 is to understand that agents want to encourage competition. It serves the agent.
You guys listening?
It serves the agent and it serves Giannis.
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
To say we're interested in that team and that team and that team.
Right, but it's still a report that has credence if it's coming from. I mean, I'm not assuming where this report is coming from, but Zaz gave a true report. He said Giannis's reps called the Miami Heat.
Yeah, again, like
an express interest. That's actually a big time scoop.
Like again, do you want to surmise that Giannis's people are calling every team and saying we're interested? Maybe that's true. I have no idea. I wouldn't think that that's true. Right. I would think that there's probably only a handful of teams who Giannis is interested in. But I can tell you, I know one of those teams they have reached out to is the Heat.
Okay, so when Zaslow says, I know, Tony, help me here with this because we're growing a media company. When Zaslow says, I know, is that bigger than Mike Ryan's that I should remind you? That Mike Ryan's that I should remind you. As somebody, when Mike says that, he's saying, hey, you know I'm credible, right? When Mike Ryan says that with the fluff of I broke the biggest story on Messi, so that I should remind you. When I say something, I'm walking the line between I know it or sources and you're going to trust me because I'm credible, correct? I broke the biggest story.
In those contexts, Mike is reminding you that he already knows what it is. Zazzle's just giving you the exact just dope of I know what this is and they told me.
Right, this is the first time for me.
Right.
We're just, four guys with, backgrounds in breaking big time stories, just shooting. That's what we're doing, and I'm not going to be pitted against Greg or Zaz. That's a great report, Zaz.
Thanks, Leia.
I want some assistance here because I believe that Zaz is very quickly. I know I can be Juan come lately, but I believe Zaslow is passing Greg Cote journalistically because
Respect.
the newspaper business is dying. The information game is growing. And Zaslow, the part of this story that you guys are ignoring, like, man, we are selfish in Miami and selfish in coverage when it's like, oh, Giannis might be interested in Miami. Hey, guys, you know Anthony Davis is also a game changer, right? Like
we're not talking about him right now.
No, somebody else. No, wait a minute. What do we mean? What do you mean we're not
game
talking
changer.
about?
They missed playoffs. What do we?
No.
Anthony
Wait
Davis
a
does
minute.
not excite.
No, I don't care what your opinion is of Anthony Davis. Zaz reported something.
Yes, on Giannis.
I also said Anthony Davis is interested in Miami. If things don't go the way they want to go.
Guys, no.
Scooper.
Yes, thank you. We need to. Cote, Zaslow right now is kicking your ass on Heat information. He's better at information. I would say that Zaslow's 2 reports might be bigger than any story you've broken other than my betrayal about my engagement, right?
If I covered the Miami Heat, I would be really upset that I didn't break that story.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
That feels like.
Although it's still a marginal story break.
It is not. No, it is not.
Hold on a second.
Him what he wants.
If you see someone, forget that it's me. This is a blank face right here.
Right.
Not this beautiful punum, okay? This is a blank face right here. If you heard someone locally too, so maybe they're connected. I don't know who this person is. You heard this person is reporting that Giannis has reached out to the Heat. Mm-hmm. Would you think it's a big story?
Let me tell you how I define a big story. What's the degree of surprise? Okay, when Shams reports that that Giannis is open to every team.
All right, but Anthony Davis surprised me.
That's a little bit more of a surprise.
Well, no, but wait a minute. So this is reporting and it's legitimate, and I'm asking you, why are you denying the credibility of his report?
Well, first of all,
I reported last week that Sam Bennett was not even going to have a hearing.
He did.
First of all, I don't know that it's true, and I don't think you know it's true at this point.
Do I know what's true?
He doesn't.
I know my report is true. I know what I was told. I trust my sources.
Right. Okay. There you go.
Wait,
okay.
what, Greg? What are you doing?
We'll see.
He's doing exactly what you want him to do, which is play your stupid little game.
You started
Okay,
this.
so no, all right.
This is not a game to me.
Done.
As a journalist, this is not a game. This is my life.
All right, now I know, Billy, Mike, please. I know. I'm the stir.
When's it going to be on the ESPN website? Because you work for ESPN. I'm wondering why they're not putting it up. Who do we call?
Hey, that's a very good question by Billy.
Ring up to Justin Craig. What do we do here?
It won't appear as a news story quoting Zaslow. I can promise you that.
Well, should it though?
Because
It is right now.
it's not a definitive enough
It is
report.
it is on Peacock and it is on DKN. It is on the Le Batard Show.
Why is it
It
not
should.
official? Why Zaslow's reporting it?
It's
if
all
it's
politics. We all know what was happening there when Woj was
Politics.
there. Maybe it's different now.
I'm
but,
on ESPN tonight, so we'll see.
Can you report a feeling?
this isn't a feeling.
It's not a feeling nor
He
an opinion.
feels like he wants to come.
It's not a feeling or an
picked up
opinion.
a phone.
I feel like I want to play for the Heat. I feel like I would like to maybe play for the Heat.
He picked up a phone. Like there was a report yesterday
it's
that
not-
he was
that- it
open-minded
wouldn't
about
be
everything,
him.
and
It wouldn't be
his
him.
reps
That
picked
would
up
be
a
a
phone.
report if it was him.
His reps
wouldn't
picked up
be
a phone
him.
and said, "Hey, Miami,
Yeah,
you're one of the ones."
that's what I'm telling
All
you.
right.
He's feeling
You're,
you.
you're one of the dozen.
All right,
we
so
would
Mike
consider.
Ryan makes
I don't know
fun.
how many.
Mike Ryan says I'm doing all of
Bakers
this,
does
and
it.
yet here he is saying, like, somewhere after that, I shall remind you. He said the ringer took your knees out from under you.
They did. They won that championship. Congrats to them. Credit where it's due.
So journalistic outfits that have some power can affect the outcome of games. And Zaslow is reporting as a legitimate Miami audio legend.
Okay.
He's reporting Anthony Davis and Giannis are interested in Miami. That's not something anyone else I've seen anywhere
That
else.
they have both reached out.
I'm looking at
to
the
Miami.
ESPN's NBA homepage right now, and I don't see.
Okay, so
anything
ESPN
under
is the
top
only thing that
headlines.
validates. Okay, so Meadowlark Media is not allowed to have any reports. It's just ESPN is the only important one. Okay.
No, what happens there?
not be
What
really
happens,
upset.
Dan? What happens, Dan, is that if it's a big enough report from Meadowlark Media,
So Shams gets to decide that, and
then
ESPN gets to decide that.
regurgitates the news break.
Okay, but
That's all.
And so you're saying
And you
if
know that
Zaz
to be
were more
true.
credible, an ESPN employee, you're saying if Zaz, like he works at ESPN, he's reporting it.
Right.
I am reporting, but I'm not Shams. Like he's the best.
The
Right.
Anthony Davis thing is problematic.
Problematic how?
Well, because he's under contract with the Dallas
is
Mavericks.
Giannis.
Yeah, but at least it's being reported about Giannis
Right.
that he's available.
Somebody's got to be first.
Okay, but we're learning about Anthony Davis's availability by him and his reps.
What's so funny over there,
reaching out
Chuckles?
to the- I think if I were a Mavs fan, I'd be like, "What are you doing? Is this what the franchise is blessing? You're doing what now? You're reaching out to other teams. This is a whole tampering.
You know we got the first
might have
pick,
actually
right?
gotten your Miami Heat in trouble.
I heard this before. I was told this before last night. Maybe Anthony Davis like, number one pick. I'm not interested in anything but Dallas. Now that's just my opinion.
I think you got your franchise in trouble, bub.
You're reporting old news then? I mean,
That's a bigger
Chuckles, he called you?
That's a bigger story. Is Anthony Davis.
Look.
But that was old. We don't know how he feels after last night.
Chuckles, he just called you. He hit you with Chuckles. And this is what I wanted to say from before because we're in
I was chuckling at the time, in fairness.
Chris Cote, I'm in a dangerous emotional space with your father. Your father is willing to take 20 years of beating from me in the name of loving friendship. But lest I say a foul word about his son, I lose him emotionally for sometimes days and weeks because he will abide no man disrespecting his son in public. He'll give him a chicken wing. And so I don't like to make your father mad here, but he's enraged at me. And Zaslow, you saw it, right? Because Zaslow was looking at your dad, and it's the first time he's seen, oh, wait a minute. This isn't a character. This guy would like to take Dan's head and throw it into the ocean.
It's one of the things that, like, now that I'm around more often and I love being here, it's one of the things that I have to start not getting used to, but I'm trying to still figure out. Like what's okay, what is making some people upset, and I certainly don't want to step on toes.
You just called him Chuckles.
Well, he would were you chuckling?
I was chuckling.
Chuckles.
Yeah.
A bond has been formed.
It
Look
wasn't
at
a
them.
laugh, it was a chuckle.
If that's not the Le Batard story here, Chuckles, bond formed over Chuckles. What a pathetic slogan. That's what we're writing. That's in the
We've
new.
been accused of being a chuckle fest for 20 years.
Right? Okay. Well, your dad's not chuckling about this, is what I'm telling you.
Well, I hope you're happy.
Well, no,
you got him mad.
He'd like me to apologize to his son on air.
I didn't say that.
You'd like me to.
I mean, I don't think you have it in you. I don't think you feel the need to. I don't want you to do anything that you don't feel the need to do.
It's a call out.
Was it disrespectful?
Hell, in the extreme.
Is it disrespectful for you to say that his son did not earn nor is capable of doing his current job?
Yeah, a little bit disrespectful.
It's probably a debate to be had there.
Pretty good argument.
Which is
Common
it?
ground.
I am a judge. Was Le Batard disrespectful to Greg Cote's son by saying he didn't necessarily deserve and is not necessarily good at his current job? Disrespectful.
Oh,
Thank you, Your Honor.
I would also say continuously
Disrespectful.
calling him Greg Cote's son and not Chris Cote because he has a name. Also disrespectful.
I feel nothing.
Thank you.
With prejudice. Always.
already risen. Are we willing to allow Zaslow to be judge and jury? We've confirmed him. Like this is, are we going to make it judge and jury and executioner Zaslow because he's a journalist? He's getting into the information game. And Mike, you know this can be scary, right? Chris, you know this can be scary.
I'm sorry, I got a smile from ear to ear right now because Giannis is weighing in on Jimmy Butler's effort last night. Hang on. Did you expect more from Jimmy Butler without Steph? 4 of 9 from the field, just 6 rebounds.
Hold on, say that again. How many shots from the field?
Just 5 of 9 from the field.
9 shots.
9
Basically
shots.
an elimination game.
14 points. I expected more. Thank you, Giannis.
9 more than I did.
Judge, it seems like we're not going to get an apology.
Well, that's not up to a judge's ruling. My ruling is just if it was disrespectful or not. I haven't handed out, damages or anything like that.
Okay.
So I know that all of this is bothersome.
With prejudice.
Thank you, Zaslow. I appreciate these edicts. I don't actually want to do the silly storyline stuff around the basketball today. I really do want to because the hockey playoffs are magical enough. The Oilers coming after
nuts last night.
The Oilers coming after Greg Cote's McDavid's overrated, and just watching like championship good teams look championship good. You guys told me this would happen to Washington when the playoffs come because it's just such a different style. But I really do want to celebrate in our wheelhouse the historical glory of being able to watch both the Knicks and the Celtics at the precipice. And I've got to be honest. I think we'd all be honest about this. Even in the precious days of we all know what the transactions mean. All of us on Bridges were like, what are you doing? What are you doing on Bridges? And the answer is trying to fight the Celtics. Like, specifically them, not everybody. Celtics won. 5 picks for Bridges. Are you crazy? Go Bear, 5 picks. What are we talking about? Oh, Bridges is the third guy, specifically on the perimeter with the game the way it's changing. Might be useful. On Tatum doesn't have a moment, and when Bridges is there at the end of a game, Tatum doesn't get a shot or a pass off because Bridges 5 first-round picks for that. That's why he's there. New York, tricky relationship with him. Third guy's hard. Drew Holiday's done it well. You go from star to different usage rate. But number 2. Isn't this interesting? Karl Anthony Towns. They've got themselves a Porzingis too, and he shoots from anywhere. And God, I wish he were more physical because that's the best shooting big thing I've ever seen. That is, wins 3-point contest. What? Oh, that's your number 2. Interesting what the Knicks are building there, specifically to challenge the Celtics. No one else. That's what it's built for. Everyone saw the Celtics. Everyone in the sport saw, the Celtics are galloping up ahead. They got the top first-round picks. And the Knicks, run by James Dolan, a buffoon, a clown, doesn't deserve one clap from what this Knick run is.
The Sphere has been praised by a lot of people.
Seems like a fun venue.
It does. I got to admit that.
Yeah, my wife loved it.
Stu's still there.
It does. James Dolan's team is not a lovable thing, but what they've built, because it gets to be an underdog now, I really do want to both look at the joys and the awful in one of the stars of the game goes down in pain crying. We all know what it means. That stinks. We didn't want to see it decided that way. But the Knicks are in the game now, and the Knicks haven't felt like this in 25 years. Legitimately, that game last night is the best feeling there's been in that place this century.
The Knicks are massive winners right now. I mean, for everything you just said, the Anunoby deal, which I know wasn't in the offseason, it was last year, but Anunoby and Mikal Bridges are specifically brought in to defend on the perimeter. And then you also get Bridges in the fourth quarter of, game 2, where he was phenomenal, and last night where he was phenomenal. Bridges and Anunoby were making all the shots in the fourth quarter until Jalen Brunson decided, okay, I'm the guy and I'm going to make shots
But it's not just that. New York having a funny, testy relationship with, we gave up 5 picks for you. What did we give up 5 picks for? Oh, what we gave up 5 picks for is a guy who is tough enough to go at the Celtics and be something in the fourth quarter that can bother Tatum.
I kind of disagree, though, with the narrative about, gave up 5 picks for him. He's not worth the 5 picks. It's the same thing with giving up the 5 picks for Rudy Gobert, where they're not necessarily saying that Mikal Bridges is worth 5 picks. They're saying in order to complete their team so they could be who they want to be, that's worth 5 picks. Like, if they didn't have Towns and they didn't have, Anunoby, they wouldn't have given up 5 picks for Bridges.
Not a lot of people wanted that Towns contract.
The other thing, too, is you got Mikal Bridges because he was able to do what he did last night, kind of take over the game in the fourth quarter while Jalen Brunson got a breather. You can't have Jalen Brunson out there, all 6'2" of them, running around for 48 minutes in a game. Mikal Bridges got buckets in the mid-range, too, which is tough.
Guys, though, this is what's so cool about this story because I've seen it so loud from Knicks fandom, and please find me Jorge Sedano before the end of the show so that I can get to the bottom of this. Because he accused Stern of rigging the league, and we have to get that sound.
Balls question.
It's just ridiculous.
Balls.
The New York Knicks of today, not popular for 25 years, with the rah-rah frat of our old guys limp on the sidelines. Back to Clyde Frazier to feel that feeling it felt like in this garden in New York once upon a time. For that Knicks team to be built to fight the Celtics and go through this story arc, I loved Hartenstein. Hartenstein and Thibodeau playing the grit minutes. That's my favorite team. They made me feel so good, better than Carmelo.
DiVincenzo.
Oh, my God. That's such a cute story. Don't break up that lovely team that gets squashed by the Heat and Tyler Hero and bam, and get squashed. And, that's not good enough. Don't fall in love at your own peril there. That's not good enough. Oh, Cat, I don't know if he's tough enough. Do we really? Is that tough? Is Is that garden grit? No, but it's 40-footers from a 7-footer who can score 35 in a game. And when you need him against Tatum, he can, like, on any given night, that guy could go from long range. He could do what Tatum does any night. It's the best thing like that I've ever seen, and they got Brunson. So now what you have is the story of Bridges and Brunson and Cat are tough enough. They can dethrone the champion. Man, Jimmy Butler told me Cat's not tough. He's mentally weak, and we've been making fun of his voice. He's not strong enough to be a number one. You can't trust him in the Garden against Tatum and the champs, can you?
Well, remember, Draymond also said he wasn't tough.
The whole TNT crew did it to him.
When he ended up being at a funeral, and that's why he missed the game. It was because he wasn't tough.
It validates ballsy moves that people were right to question, I think, especially when it came to the mental fortitude. However, there's an opposite side of the coin. People were questioning the mental fortitude of Boston this entire run and thought that they might have gotten lucky with how the injuries broke. And now they're going up against a team whose individual superstars and collectively, people have questioned their toughness. And Boston's falling short of that. It makes me look at that championship real funny.
This is why you're a big Knicks fan.
For the next couple days.
Precisely. I might switch to the Pacers.
Really?
I like calling them the Sirs.
The thing is, like, the teams that are left are all rivals of the Heat at one point in
Right.
time.
I think I have more reason, actually, certainly in my adult life, to hate the Indiana Pacers than I do the New York Knicks. We'll see how this...
Why? They never did anything to us. We own them.
Knicks didn't
Took
do
him to
anything
the brink,
me.
though. A couple of times. Took the Heat to the brink.
Please. Ended their season every time.
But
In hindsight, yeah.
I do like Halliburton, and
No,
I
in
do
real
like
time.
saying Sirs.
Billy,
That's all I can tell
I'm frustrated today, Cody, because it's a Greg Cody Tuesday headed into a Wild Willie Wednesday, and things tend to go off the rails here. And if you throw Zaslow in the mix on playoff newcomer, basketball playoff newcomer over there, Mike Ryan thinks nobody's going to notice that now all of a sudden he's interested. Tony, like, the hypocrisy next to you, dude. Like,
Where's the hoops talk from him been in November when we were still
but
trying
no,
to figure out
There's
certain
no
things?
hypocrisy,
No.
guys. There's no hypocrisy.
Dude, no,
all
the
I asked
Pacers.
all I asked was for good, compelling basketball. I got that last night, and I told you I'd be the first
We
in
had
line
great
to
compelling basketball in January. Pacers started
You've
running
been
like 40 and
bandwagon
14.
basketball guy in a way that's a little bit offensive to Amin and everyone else
Well,
around here.
I'm glad you guys toughed it out through such bad basketball. I've also toughed it out through bad basketball on mute. And last night, guess what? Got the big TV treatment with the sound.
Really?
Yeah, good.
Load management. Mike.
Really?
NBA basketball got the big time treatment with the big time TV because that's theater, that's drama, that's what I miss about the NBA.
Okay. It was also a terrible hockey game opposite.
It was. That's been a bad series. But you know, I'm my complaints aren't like I'm done with this sport. My complaints are fix it. Give me something compelling to watch, and they did last
Go
night.
on.
Playoffs fixed it.
all right.
Playoffs
There
have
you
been
go.
rough
Games,
and tough.
games.
You said you loved the Oklahoma
Yes.
City,
Look,
Denver.
Mike,
was good.
Julius Randle, any commentary here? You
Julius
called
Randle.
him trash. You're
Good
like,
player.
just on, if we're admitting we're wrong, like if we're like, you want to know?
Jury's still out
Trash.
on him.
Okay,
Jury.
Marshawn,
Judge?
yes. Okay, all
Jury's
right.
still out. You could show me something, and I'll
Judge?
step up.
Julius Randle. Good player.
The jury's back. The jury's
Mike
in.
Ryan.
I'm not giving him that.
Mike
I'm
Ryan.
not giving him that.
With
Not gonna-
prejudice. Always.
I mean,
Okay.
playing the Warriors without Steph. Come on. What are we doing?
Got Draymond there. Like Draymond's still there playing
Playing
defense,
the
right?
Warriors without Steph.
Did you see him last night? By the
Steph
way,
makes everything work for
Julius
that team.
Randle was incredible.
Did you see Steph Curry last night?
I didn't.
That's right.
But Steph is not going to guard Julius Randle.
Tony,
No. But Steph is going to bring guys like he's going
Tony.
to.
But on the offensive side, Julius Randle's been incredible. He's had a triple double. He's got 30 points.
Come on.
I got your ass, dude.
He's going to stretch him out worse than Stu Hart in the dungeon.
Yeah.
Good reference.
Tony, Mike Ryan just worked you. And he worked you because he said, did you see Steph Curry out there? And then, no, of course, Steph Curry wasn't out there. You could have checkmated him if you had simply said.
Did you watch Steph
and
Curry?
You
'Cause
were,
I
and you
actually
weren't
went to
watching Minnesota Golden State either. It wasn't on your big television. You don't care enough. The sound wasn't up. You know nothing about that game. You don't know how good Julius Randle has been in that series.
Of course, but I thought that was obviously like something that we all knew that he's not
No,
watching.
he's faking
Went to
it.
bed.
He just got here.
Went to bed.
He just got here on basketball, and he's going to whiff 3 quarters and snort sports 3 quarters at a time.
Fake Knicks fan.
I don't know what
Whoa.
this whole
Whoa.
for right
Fake
now
Knicks fan?
it's one of the things I care about most in my life.
Let me tell you something about Knicks fans, fake Knicks fans. If they lose in the next series, which is fairly likely, in my opinion, it's going to be the same. We're crowning the Knicks right now.
They'll be favored.
We're crowning the Knicks right now. If they lose in the next series, it's going to be the same old Knicks. It's going to be the same old misery. 50 years, 25 years.
Here's hoping. I can't wait for that day. Yeah. That's great.
He's a Pacers fan next round.
Don't know. This whole show is about a gotcha thing, and I'll just lean into
You got it wrong on Julius Randle
last night.
You did
get it wrong on Julius Randle.
Just say you're wrong.
This whole series, this whole playoffs, Dan, he's been incredible.
Just say you're wrong. It's okay.
Was Julius Randle good last night? I wasn't watching. I don't care about
31 and 5. The game before that, 24, 10 and 12.
No,
triple-double.
Confusing player. Confusing about Rudy Gobert, too. If they make it to the NBA Finals, I'm going to maybe need to do some apologizing.
24, 11 and 7 the game prior.
You have called him trash.
Yeah, he's a trash can. He's not a good player. Wow. He's a bad player.
Numbers don't lie, buddy.
Sometimes they do, especially when it comes to Julius Randle.
You can't talk to this. Jimmy Butler was minus 30 last night and took 9 shots.
The numbers are telling all sorts of truth there.
Mike told you about that.
Warriors fans are so confused. Why didn't he shoot that? Like, he has like a layup, and he just kicks it out for a throw. Why didn't he shoot?
Welcome.
Oh, man. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I should have stayed awake for that. I really should have.
I got to tell you, though, it is funny.
But are you watching the rehearsal? This is nuts.
Yeah. That's nuts. That's crazy.
Try to describe episode
never
3
in
to
the
a
history
friend.
of television. I'm just saying, never in the history of television has anything like this ever been
good?
attempted. I can't. Well, it's that different. It's that ambitious. I
actually think this is more ambitious, but I actually think Nathan For You is the better of the two concepts. But this is so ambitious, and it is such an abuse of a budget that they've given.
Put it on the poll. It's wasteful. It's not unlike Greg Cote at Michelin restaurants. Please put it on the poll. Is The Rehearsal the most ambitious show in the history of television? Like, I literally could assemble an argument for making it as ambitious as Game of Thrones, but on stupidity, on just sheer degree of difficulty where all you're watching for, you might not even find it funny. You're like, why did they waste so much money on this? For this guy's mind because he's weird?
Yeah, but he's not weird. And what he's trying to get to might actually save lives. It might. That might be the pot at the end of this particular rainbow, but all of it's absurd. He's as smart as anybody and has been, by the way, going on a decade, going back to the Nathan For You days. This guy has been operating at a different intellectual comedic plane than anybody, and seemingly HBO just gave him a blank check to follow his heart's desire and tell like the most ambitious, twisted tale he possibly could. And like I said, if you watched episode 3, find someone that knows nothing about the concept and just try to explain that episode.
You just did. You told me that they got air from a city and blew it in a dog's face.
That's like
what?
Yeah. That is like, honestly, doesn't crack the top 50 in crazy things from that
It's
episode.
a little bit hard to explain The Rehearsal to people who aren't interested in it. It's not very hard to understand. It's just a very ambitious project.
I saw a story in the trades yesterday about a singer that fell for the trap in his Wings of Voice or whatever it's called, the singing contest, and was flying back and forth across the country and spent over $10,000 to try to be part of this singing competition. Just to find out it was all just an elaborate ruse, and is now upset by the fact that she spent $10,000. That's the thing. Well,
it seems really
is it an elaborate ruse? If we're saving lives,
do they get reimbursed?
That is a contribution she is making to saving lives.
Well, and also had to sign an NDA, which she is now broken, and is basically saying like, okay, so like the story's out there. I guess now come after me and see how that goes, because like there are silent victims in these games of his, right? Where people are getting their hopes up on things that are not realities. They're just kind of for Nathan's entertainment.
Well,
and I like the show. I like the show, but like there are people like if you watch this week's episode, like you kind of have to feel bad for the pilot that they were focusing on in his love life. And like they pick these people that, you know, are susceptible to being his victims.
Tony, I know you're lost. Billy,
so is it about a dog or a pilot?
No, Billy, as always,
we didn't even get into recreating shot for shot Sully Sullenberger's life.
Yeah, that was
including
that was
breastfeeding.
That was something.
So, Tony, forgive me for Billy's yammering.
I was watching Julius Randle, Dano. That's what I was doing.
Spoiler Wednesday's tomorrow. I'm not spoiling anything.
I will tell you something else that is funny about the New York Knicks and this present enthusiasm that the New York Knicks are feeling when I'm here to tell you that unless there are major injuries, that team has zero chance of winning the championship. Zero chance. The New York Knicks this year are 3-11 against the Cavs, Celtics, and Thunder. Those 3 victories are in this series. 3-11 against the best teams in the league. I don't care how gritty you think this version of the Knicks are, which is a more beloved version than last year's version because it's Brunson and better. They believe in heart, but that team cannot win the championship.
And I don't care how brave you think Sully Sullenberger was. We do not get that act of bravery without Evanescence.
3-11 is obviously terrible. But when you then also point out that those 3 wins have come this round, doesn't that just increase the Knicks' chances of winning? Because, hey, like, the regular season must mean nothing against those teams then, right?
And then you look at Boston. Obviously, they've won those 3 games. The Cavs are basically done and dusted. OKC's still over there, and that's going to be tough.
You've got the Cavs dusted.
Dusted.
The Pacers can play with anybody, right?
Yes.
Yeah, if you can make threes.
And they're not afraid.
It's a weird thing to say, is it not? The Pacers can play with anybody in the new evolution of what it is. Well, if Halliburton's gonna hit him from 30 feet, and we can have a legitimate argument any night. Well, who's their best player, Siakam or Halliburton? But both of them can do it. You're not believing in any of it, Michael.
No, I believe in them. You're invoking names like Siakam and OG Anunoby. Everybody wants, if you're viewing this from the Heat fan perspective.
It's a new game.
I'm a Knicks fan, so like that's one of the teams that actually went out and got these guys that could make an impact. Bridges, OG Anunoby. Everyone romanticizes the whale. They whiffed on Lillard. They miss on Harden. They miss on Durant multiple times. They miss on all these guys. They also miss on Siakam. They also miss on OG.
Let me ask something. How do you know that the Heat didn't try to trade for those guys?
No, I know that they tried to trade for those guys. I'm reporting. I know they tried to, and I know they failed.
The back report.
And I know they failed.
Confirm that?
They failed in
Jazz?
trying to get those guys.
What are your sources
That is
telling
my
you?
lament. Is like not only are you failing for the top guy, you're also deciding, we're not going to part with these pieces because we don't think OG and Siakam can get us where we want to go. And then I see Siakam and OG take teams where they want to go. We're missing pieces. So there's just people just like to go top line talent. No. The dysfunction and failures from this organization is actually quite the tale. We've woven quite the weave of tale when it comes to their failures.
In the last 5 years, how many finals did the Pacers and Knicks appear in?
Well, that math is about to
The Heat
change.
were in 2 of them.
Didn't you say, what have you done for me lately earlier
To
in
Greg.
the show?
Wow.
Okay.
We're talking about
2 years ago.
journalism.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
Journalism.
Well, ask the NBA and those 2 teams in particular next week when they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, what have you done for me lately?
see.
Because
I don't
all
know
you've
that's
done
happened.
for me lately is get me to the play-in.
Back-to-back ECFs for the Pacers, by the way.
Jay Williams is getting roasted for saying on Get Up that the Mavs should consider trading the number 1 pick for a player like Giannis, Devin Booker, or Maxey.
Look, nobody's a bigger Tyrese Maxey fan than I am. That might end Nico Harrison's tenure in Dallas.
I was getting mad when I saw Morey with a chance at this number 1 pick. I was getting real mad.
I was too.
I was getting real mad.
You see him face down on the thing though when they pulled out him on the third kill.
That was the
Like,
one place. Good. That was the one place that flatly could not get the number 1. I was good with San Antonio and Dallas if the alternative
San
was
Antonio,
Philly. We all know that Charlotte would have
I
been
didn't like
perfect.
that.
I think we can be clear on this, even though Joel Embiid, pretty special physical talent. It all starts with Giannis. Any of the dominoes are after that. Everyone understands that if you can get Giannis, you get him because the next 3 years of Giannis can be close no matter who you put around it. And, of course, everyone's in that game. That part seems obvious, right?
Not no matter who. I mean, he bounced in the first round.
No,
this year.
but you'd have a chance as soon as he signs his name to something, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
You'd also have to build around him. Like if you're the Heat, you have to get rid of your star pieces, and you just have him.
So, Billy, are you objecting to what I'm saying? That Giannis makes any team better as soon as you get him?
Depending on the pieces that are on the team that he's part of.
I mean, they gave him Budenholzer and Doc Rivers to work with.
But I'm saying, like, you're assuming that he's just going to come to the Heat and have this same roster. You have to get rid of people to get him.
I'm not.
If you get rid of Bam to get Giannis,
I'm sorry, Billy.
Bam and Hero.
So, Billy, I don't want to do this whole
Get rid
thing
of him,
again.
period.
But you do understand that this is not up for dispute. You got to make the salaries match. But I would assume that if Giannis is interested in the Heat's response to that is anyone you want, make the contracts match up. Take anyone you want.
You don't have to assume I reported it.
Take any 4 or 5 pieces that need to match up.
Why are you saying that so definitively? Because like last time they got into the pursuit of a superstar, it was like Tyler Hero, take it or leave it. And by the way, you.
I'm saying it definitively because Giannis is a reset on what architecturally, a GM's job is go find the other 11 pieces. The one you never can develop yourself is that one, and there are like 4 in the league. It's not 10. Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid's body is not enough. No, what you will get is a superstar who cares, face of the league, immediate injection into your season ticket system, an economy of wealth that brings Giannis the business, with his brother, by the way. You're going to have to take the whole family. That's how that one's going to work.
So now you only have 10 slots.
And
That's
any team in the league would want him. And I think just about any team in the league would trade any one player they have for him. Like, maybe Jokic is an exception, but nobody else.
The league's changed, too, by the way. Like, it's not the way it was 10 years ago, where let's just acquire as many stars as possible. We got to get a big 3. Like, Phoenix just tried that, all right? The league's not like that anymore. If you can get 1, maybe even 2, if you get your hands on 2 really good players, but it's really about filling out the rest of the roster now. The league's different like that. So if you get your hands on a guy like Giannis, all right, well, we'll add other pieces around it. It's not necessarily about getting as many stars.
I will tell you that Dallas, that just won the lottery, however unpopular their general manager, his thought process is, well, Luka, I don't trust his body to be one of these 5 pieces in 3 years. Like, that's how they presented that. I need to win with defense. Now,
Which is why we traded for Anthony Davis.
He's an idiot, but you understand.
Process over result.
This is why Nico being a winner today is uproarious. Can we go back to Boost Mobile, please?
Oh, I thought you never
I'm
asked,
coming
Dan.
around on
It's on
this.
a heater right now.
The callers are getting better. Keep getting sharper, please. The telephone number is 305-486-GOTS, GOTZ 4689, 305-486-4689.
The Boost Mobile boldest take from the weekend is presented by Boost Mobile, the newest 5G network in the country.
Hey, what's up, guys? Stugotz Army here in San Francisco. I think every sports writer should have to be hit with a fastball in order to write about sports. Thank you.
Hey, guys, it's Brian in Albuquerque. Does Stan Van Gundy look like the guy at the meatball sub shop behind the counter wearing a shirt that says legalize marinara? I'll hang up and listen.
Hey, this is Will in front of a computer. There are 94 different types of apples, according to apples.com. That is 92 too many apples. You just need a red one and a green one. If you were to blind taste test, I don't think you could tell the difference between a golden russet, a sweet tango, or a cosmic crisp. I'll hang up and listen.
Hey guys, this is Stu from Boston. First time, long time. Here's my limited fake concession guy at a sporting event selling beers. Ice cold beers here. Get your ice cold beers here. Ice cold beers. Thanks.
Hey, this is Joe calling from the Magic Conch. I think that people who listen to music out loud in public or at work are the worst people on the planet. Even worse than people who don't return their shopping cart. I'll hang up and listen, pay the whales.
Hey, this is Kit. In the NBA, once your team misses 20 threes, you don't get any more threes. You can shoot it from wherever. It's worth 2 points.
The Chipotle fork is the best fork in the food industry, and it should be a first ballot fork Hall of Famer. I'll hang up and listen.
This was one of the weaker episodes until that
That
last
one
point.
is a great take.
Certified banger.
Okay, but
and it's a thing on the internet. People know about this.
I take extra.
Yes, it's great. It's
And
better
the
than
napkins.
actual silverware.
And the napkins.
There he is, Hollywood insider. Look at him with that background. He looks like Kale.
Real, by the way.
Kale,
That's real.
Okay, of course. He is. He loves the kale smoothie. He's radiant. He also is a rising star at ESPN. And Jorge Sedano is here to recount the tale that mortifies Zaslow. Zaslow, how would you frame this story of Jorge Sedano at his most rebellious in Miami, irresponsible, and not journalistically sound?
Well, I don't think George thought he was being irresponsible. I think he probably thought he was being responsible by trying to get to the bottom of something that has been talked about. But I get agita just thinking about it. Like, it gives me anxiety, the spot that George put himself in with, at the time, it was a very scary man.
Jorge, I don't believe anyone here actually knows the story. I believe they're too young to remember. This was the first moment, I believe, that Jorge Sedano made a national splash, and I believe it might be his worst public moment. Do I have this wrong?
I don't know, maybe. I don't think of it as a bad public moment at all. I actually found it, to Zaslow's point, me asking the question everybody wanted answered to the guy that you needed to ask the question to. So just to give the details, so this is 2003-04 season of the NBA. It's Dwayne Wade's rookie year. At that time, I was the Miami Heat pre and post. What was that?
That's our very competent executive producer. Doesn't have the job at all because his old man is my best friend.
Oh, okay. So I was the Heat pre and post game show host on radio. This is like a playoff game for the Heat. They're playing Indiana, I believe, at the time. This is the second round when Stan Van Gundy and Dwayne Wade and those guys got to the second round. So David Stern is coming over to be interviewed by me. And at the end of the interview, I asked him, I said, Commissioner Stern, fans are very upset about the officiating in this series. They feel like the team, the more veteran team, is getting the benefit of the calls. I know we've had these controversies, obviously, and this is coming off of the Sacramento thing, right? So I mentioned that, and he looks at me. He just kind of looks me up and down, and he says, George, what you're saying would be illegal in 50 states. Further, I say, if not. And then I just kind of kept going back at him because I didn't know any better at 20-something years old a little bit. But, I eased off the gas a little bit, and we just kind of had a discussion about it. He elaborated some about the officiating and, who these guys are and what they're, what they go through and the rigorous testing that the league does for them on a game-to-game basis, et cetera, et cetera. And then we're done. I wrap up the segment. He taps me on the shoulder and goes, "Good job, George." Like a little kid, just almost he should have just tapped me on the head, to be honest with you, when he walked away.
The further I say, if not, is a great condescension that is just.
No doubt.
Oh my God, what does that even mean? Further I say, if not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought Mike said
it. It means you're an asshole. Is what. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. If you say further I say, if not, are you 100% an asshole? And also, it.
It's good work out of your boy.
Good job, Chris.
I know. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well timed.
Dan, I'll say this. I felt both in that situation after it was over. I was both proud of myself for asking the tough question to the scariest man in the world at the time, sweating bullets still after the fact, but felt good about it, honestly. Because, again, I just think that's what everybody wanted to know at that time.
So, George, when the Commissioner Stern all but patted you on the head and said, "Good job, George," how much of that was condescending? How much of it was sort of real?
And Georgie, did he call you Georgie? Did he condescend you
Georgie.
extra?
No. But I think it was a combination of both. I think it was condescending, no question about it. I wish I could really explain his tone even when he said it. Like he took a breath.
He buried
he looked at me.
He buried you with public relations. Right. Like he bullied you publicly because he knew who he was.
Sent Mike Bass after you to put you in an anaconda vice.
No, I love Mike Bass. Don't you besmirch Mike Bass. Anyway, but I will say this. He did kind of give me a smile like, you know what? I'm kind of proud that you asked the question. Like, you had the balls to ask it. Like, whereas nobody else seems to want to ask it, I guess, at that time. So it was a combination of both. He was patting me on the head, like, "Good job, kid. Nice try, but you're not going to get me."
His creative muse.
Begs the question, George Sedano, is the NBA rigged given what we saw last night?
No, it's not rigged. Look, I actually just spoke to somebody who was in the room yesterday, a media member. So I'm sure you guys maybe have already seen this, but there's 1,001 permutations of four-digit combinations. There's several media members in there, 14 representatives from each team, and then 2 guys from Ernst & Young. And one guy pulls out the ball, hands it to a guy who's not even looking at the machine, and he says the number, right? And then when they get through the 4 digits, each team has a booklet that has these 4-digit combinations. And this person told me that not only was there an audible gasp as people were looking through the booklet when they realized it was Dallas, there were several media members who absolutely cursed. But you're supposed to be completely silent during all of this. So that's how the reaction was in the room, according to this person. And then Then they had to be locked up for another hour and a half because you can't leave the room and you don't have like your phones or anything like that.
George, compared to Adam Silver, who will do nothing, how would David Stern have reacted to LeBron James continually referencing that the draft lottery is rigged?
He would have been called to Stern's office. There's no question. I remember, when I worked with Mark Jackson, he told us a story about how him and Charles Barkley got into it early in their career about something. And Stern, and again, I'm paraphrasing this, so, don't quote me on any of this stuff. But basically, long story short, he invited them over to his office. And he basically admonished them to the point that, he just told them, hey, I know you guys think you're a big deal, but I run this thing, okay? So stop acting like, idiots is basically what he said. I don't remember the specifics of the story, but that's just how he ruled. He ruled with an iron fist. There's no doubt about it.
I just want horse.
Do you think that this process, though, is ultimately working in the NBA's favor, given that it's not stopping teams from tanking, and it's also not stopping fans from just theorizing somewhat recklessly that the league is rigged?
Well, I'll tell you this, Mike. I do think that it works in the league's benefit. At this point, Stern would lean into that stuff in a lot of ways, too. Remember, he was the first commissioner to, embrace fans booing him at the draft. And, I think he handled all that stuff well from a PR standpoint in a way that was almost defiant, right? So I think that the league, still in a lot of ways, albeit not as vocal as he was, still just lets these things go and let people think whatever the hell they want to think. They don't care.
All right, George, I need your help with something because I really, first off, would it be a good podcast or segment? Further, I say, if not, the most condescending sports take of all time. I feel like you can throw one of those at us, but I believe that the basketball itself, I'm getting bothered by the fact you're someone who really loves the nuances of the game, the strategy. Yeah. You know what a heartbreak that is for Boston last night, structurally, to their franchise. You know what it means that the Knicks are around now. You know that the Pacers can beat anybody. So does it bother you at all seeing the sport grow? And we've spent 3-4 questions about is it rigged in the draft instead of, man, hold on. The basketball is so fun.
The basketball's been fantastic. I was in Denver this past weekend for games 3 and 4 of that series. And I know people could say, oh, look, that first quarter was dreadful. And it was, okay? It was as wild a thing as I've ever seen live at all. I mean, they tied for the lowest combined score in the first quarter on Sunday in NBA playoff history. But the reality is it was still close. And I think that that's what people want. I have friends, Dan, who kind of went away from the NBA over the last 5 to 10 years, and they are locked in, okay? And we haven't had very many series go long. This is about the individual games being interesting. And, yeah, I feel terrible for Jason Tatum. If you're a Boston fan today, you've got to feel awful. Your championship window may be closed because – the basketball part of it, he may not play next year. There's the new ownership change part of it where there's already been talk about them having to shed salary because they're paying $6 billion for this team. And it's just not sustainable to keep paying this crazy luxury tax with all these guys. So in essence, that window's probably closed. And now you've got this Indiana team, that I heard Ernie Johnson on your show say, don't sleep on the Pacers. And honestly, no one has been more right about anything in a sport that we know nothing about regarding the results clearly at this stage anymore than Ernie Johnson telling you weeks ago, don't sleep on the Pacers.
Not true, Sedano. A year ago, and then 2 years ago, and then this April, I told you the Heat need to get out of the playoff. They cannot be in the playoff. They need to be in the draft lottery at 11, and then all of a sudden we see what happens. That only happens once.
Yeah, but that's nonsense, Tony. The reality is it's nonsense. A lottery. If they do that over again one more time, it doesn't same 4 balls are going to come out in the same order.
All they needed was one shot, though. They needed one shot.
Plus, it was
Tony, it's a lottery. Do you guys not understand how a lottery works?
Not know how revisionist history works? Wow. Huh? Do you not know how revisionist history works? It kind of
feels like...
clearly that's... it's an easy trope for you guys today. I get it.
You ever hear hindsight of 2020?
You guys get the
Yeah,
sense
I've heard of that.
You guys get the sense Sedano's on the take now? You know what I mean? Like, he worked his way up. He was there. He was like the young congressman going to Washington.
Who's that
All
guy
of a sudden,
behind you, Sedano?
he
Get
learned
that
the
guy.
way
Hey,
things
that
work.
guy's on.
Yeah,
What's
he's
that guy doing?
Photo bomb.
You're hiking right
I'm on a
now?
hiking trail. Yeah, I was hiking. I was
Well,
about
that's
to start
why your
hiking, and you
Wi-Fi.
guys-
He's a well, it's not Wi-Fi out there. It's just 5G. You'd think it'd be
It's
better out
5G,
in
bro.
California. But to Billy's point, you're just a mouthpiece for the league now.
Yeah, he's not going to bite the hand that feeds him. Come on, get out of here.
I'm not
Plus,
a
his
mouthpiece for the
Lakers
league.
got Luka, and they knew that was part of the arrangement.
My
to keep her
Lakers?
fight. Yeah,
Yeah,
Lakers.
your
Hollywood
Lakers.
Sedano.
Your
yeah.
Lakers.
Hollywood
here we
George
go.
Sedano going out there.
Here we go.
Got to fix
Here we
that
go.
lottery,
You know what?
George. Fix it.
Here's the deal. Tell the Heat to pick a lane, okay? That's what they
Oh.
need to do. Pick a lane.
Thank you.
Heat. I thought
Your
you were
mouth
part of
God's
the
ears,
Heat.
pal.
Yeah,
By the way,
jeez.
I know that historically you've been known as a Heat fan, even though you're a Lakers fan now. Yeah. But so you grew up hating the New York Knicks, and I'm curious what's happening as you're watching this series, because Zaz and I are fully aligned. We're big Knicks guys here.
Yep.
We love rooting for the Knicks, especially against the Boston Celtics, almost exclusively against the Boston
Silver
Celtics.
Lake Sedano, give us the scoop. Silver Lake Sedano, tell the people what you think from your mountain on high.
If you would have told me that in the year 2000, that in the year 2025, I would find the Knicks to be an endearing story that I would be enthralled by and following with every bated breath, I would have told you, you're out of your mind, go bleep yourself and kick you in the face. I'll tell you that I am locked in on them. I wouldn't go as far as say I'm rooting for them, because I'm not rooting for anybody, but like I will. But I love a good story. And for me, that's all I'm chasing is a good story every day when I talk about this stuff. And they are as good a story as any in the sport right now.
Get better internet. Further, I say, if not. Thank you, sir. And on your way out. Thank you, Sedano. He can't be bothered, too busy hiking old California Sedano. It's disgusting. He used to be Miami, but why doesn't he live in Miami anymore? Because our buildings don't allow us to do shows without bothering us with a fire alarm the entirety of every conversation we're having.
It's been a tricky day that way. Yeah. Summer concert season is almost upon us. So many great summer tours, so many once-in-a-lifetime experiences, so many tickets that are in demand and also sold out. Left with no options. Where do I go? I turn to the secondary market. Where do I want to go? I want to go to the industry leader. I want to go to the best customer experience on an app. I download the Game Time app, and then I create an account, and then I use the code DAN, that is DAN, and I get $20 off my first purchase, a purchase that is guaranteed to be the lowest price on the secondary market. If not, Game Time will match you and go up to 110% of that price. Incredible customer service, panoramic seat views, no surprises at checkout with just an all-in pricing toggle. Guys, I'm telling you, Game Time is the absolute best. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
I want to get to some of the hockey in a moment here with you guys, but the Warriors lost by 7 last night in a game they had to win at home. Jimmy Butler had 14 points. He took 9 shots. And it's not like he took 9 shots and he had 18 free throws, all right? He took 9 shots. He had 5 free throws. In a game they lost by 7, he was a team worst, minus 30. They lost by 7. He was minus 30. And have you guys seen the discourse on social media about Jimmy? Because, whoo!
It's not a good day. He's been praised. He's had a charmed existence out in Golden State. It was all working for him. But then one thing that he didn't plan for was a player that was finally better than him on a roster that he was on would get hurt. And now everyone's pointing at him, which I don't suppose is super fair, Zaz. I'm curious.
They got him for this. Like, not to carry a team to a championship, but they got him and gave him the huge money because, God forbid, the team leaves the locker room and the camera pans to a Steph Curry who's in street clothes, and he's waving. He's waving to them. See you guys. Like, they got him specifically to give the team a stay of execution where maybe Curry will be back game 6. They're not going to get out of game 5. Like, that's why they got Jimmy Butler. 14 points, minus 30. Woof.
Yesterday was basically an elimination game because if you win that game at home, All right, all of a sudden the series gets extended. You go to 6.
Yep.
Steph can come back. Something can happen Game 7. It's a miracle.
Yep.
Golden State moves on to the Western Conference Finals. It's inexcusable for Jimmy Butler to make the stink and make the storm that he made in Miami to then go to Golden State to have a great stretch run the end of the season and then put up a 9-shot game. 9 shots is what Buddy Hield takes. 9 shots is what Kevon Looney takes.
9 shots is what he took when he was actively passive-aggressive and trying to take games while in the lineup for the Miami Heat.
In a game the Warriors had to win without Steph Curry, 4 other players took more shots than Jimmy Butler did. Podziemski, Hield, Draymond took more shots.
Unacceptable.
And Kuminga off the bench. And by the way, Kuminga, who took more field goal attempts than him, 13 field goals, was also 11 of 12 from the free throw line. So Kuminga was far more active.
Good little series for him, by the way.
Than Butler.
Good little series for him. They buried him
Making a little bit of money back, maybe?
Oh, come on, Zaz. They buried him at the end of the bench when Jimmy Butler got there. They said they didn't want to play him. He didn't play. All of a sudden, 30 points here.
I mean, he doesn't do a whole lot else other than score.
Come
Zero rebounds last night in 30 minutes.
What do you want to? You want him to do everything?
I want to do a little bit of something.
Should it be crashing around him a little bit louder than it is right now in the media?
Jimmy or Kuminga?
For Jimmy. I mean, given the mess that he made down here in Miami.
It's a good question because it doesn't feel like it feels like a social media fan thing right now. I don't
Steph
feel
being
like
out gives him a pass, I think.
But
not for 9 shots.
But he shouldn't be getting a pass. He shouldn't be getting a pass because he's playoff
why they
Jimmy.
got him.
He's playoff Jimmy. And on top of that, it's one thing if he goes out swinging, right? It's one thing if he goes out like playoff Jimmy, if he has a good performance, or if he's putting in an effort that is like, all right, at least Jimmy was going for it, neck first to the cup, trying to draw fouls. But you're going out the way that you did when you were milking the clock over here in Miami, like that's not what this was about. That's not the standard that everyone holds you to now in the playoffs that you established.
They're questioning on the broadcast. And look, we saw this plenty of times here. And this would happen every now and then. It was like this in Game 3 also, where it's like, why isn't he shooting that? Why isn't he being more aggressive? But even the broadcast was openly questioning last night, where he'll drive to the basket, and it seems like, he's got a floater or he's got an 8-foot shot, and instead he passes to the corner to Gary Payton III. It's like, why aren't you shooting? They were questioning on the broadcast, why aren't you shooting?
There was something that kind of happened in that Nuggets series where you could see like he lost confidence in his own shot in the NBA Finals after being on an absolute tear. And I know he had isolated moments here and there afterwards, but there was something that happened in that series where they were daring him to be the guy, and it wasn't until they were facing elimination did he have the confidence to even put it up. I think he's pretty self-aware about his limitations now. Despite the bravado, despite what he did to the Miami Heat, which probably might actually make it worse because his intentions were, let me get the money now because I know I'm never going to be at that level. But I do think for a player that was getting all sorts of praise adorned on him by the national media, and rightfully so, Miami people down here were burned by the entire experience, wondering why the coverage was so favorable, and he was looking like he was coming out a winner. For the plan to be solely dependent on Steph Curry's body, and for you to not give them one of those moments. Right. One of those moments that they acquired you for. Not just to take the pressure off of Steph, but in the event that something happens to Steph, you can win us a game. For him not to do that, it's worth coming down
He
on.
was doing the Jimmy stuff the last night of, we're still in this. We're winning this series.
You could say that if you take 22 shots and you got 36 points and you lost by 7. That game was 20 out of reach for the entirety of the second half until they start making a run with like 3 minutes left where all the starters were out. But if you're Jimmy, this is how you age. We knew this was going to happen, right? You can't throw yourself at the cup every single time.
Which I guess you're also saying this is exactly why he held Miami hostage and only cared about getting the money right now.
But if I may, counterpoint, he's top 5 in free throw attempts in the postseason in these NBA playoffs.
Sure.
So he's shown in these NBA playoffs that he can be that guy. Now, I know he took a tough spill a couple games ago, and he's been dealing with that.
Glute injury, right?
But, you got to. You have to. You have to play the game that gets you easy points at the stripe when Steph Curry is out, out of respect for that franchise and the team that gave you that
for the team that gave you the money. At least validate it where it's like, okay, if we're going to lose with me taking 20 shots.
The other thing is, to the point that I was making is, you can't, if you know your body is not ready or not able at this point in the season to go and take 18 free throws, and you have to rely on your jump shot that you've kind of had a shaky situation with the last couple of years, it's like, how do you not at least try? Nine attempts is nothing. Nine attempts is laughable.
And I'll get stuff on social media where it's like, what was happening there? Why wasn't Jimmy shooting? I'm like, we would get this every now and then in the playoffs with the Heat. It's like, I don't know. He just has
nobody knows
games like that.
He loses confidence in his shot. It's apparent because he doesn't attempt shots that he would be.
And it's pump fake.
And sometimes it's pump fake, go up for a layup when you probably should have passed out of it, or not take the easy layup, pump fake nobody, get yourself injured. This is the end of his career. It's a guy that played his entire career one way, very aggressively, a lot of minutes on that body. He doesn't necessarily trust his shot, and he certainly doesn't trust his body anymore.
Zaz, on the flip side of that, looking at the Wolves, though. Wolves are looking good. Julius Randle's kind of that missing piece of that big that can score outside of Naz Reid. We know Gobert's going to be kind of a defensive stalwart. Anthony Edwards finally putting things together. He hasn't really had good first halves, but he's had really good second halves of these games. And it feels like, could they be healthy enough to compete against whoever's coming out of the slugfest on the other side?
I need to see it from the Wolves first. Because, the reality is right now with Minnesota, all right, they're beating up a Warrior team that is a very big man down. And then the Laker team they beat in the first round.
Incomplete team.
They may not have been that good, the Lakers. We may have been wrong about the Lakers. So, I'm down on the Wolves for the way they handled game one. Like, this series should be over. It should have been a sweep. Should have been done with. It was like such an unprofessional effort from them where they couldn't win that first game when Steph Curry leaves. So, they shouldn't lose another game this series. I don't think they're going to lose another game this series. They're getting like their first real test in the conference finals. When the reality of it is, whichever team they wind up playing, the Thunder or the Nuggets, they're already going to have been tested. I mean, the Nuggets won a 7-game series in the first round. If the Thunder get past Denver here, they had to come back from a 2-1 deficit at one point. I'm not in on the Wolves. They're gonna have to earn it in the Western Conference Finals.
Why is the NBA like this now? We've had like a 5-year run here, it's like kind of dating back to COVID. Where just the finals and who makes deep runs in the playoffs is kind of screwy.
Used to be predictable, this sport.
I mean,
so like
it was always LeBron.
Then,
you
right?
have teams, no, but what happened? What changed?
You have teams a couple years removed from the finals not making the playoffs at all. Hell, you have one team that was Western Conference champions. I understand they made the trade. They didn't make the playoffs. Phoenix fell off the map after they made the NBA Finals. Look what happened to Milwaukee. A disaster, pretty much, since they won the championship. Yeah, the Heat. 2 random appearances. Actually, one of the more consistent teams of this sample size that I'm referring to right there. Boston's been in that mix, making deep runs. You could point to them and say, look, even Golden State, they've been helter-skelter. In the middle of that, they have one random championship. They fall off.
Denver and Boston have been consistent, right? But other than that, it's been crazy.
I mean, how about this, guys?
They just fired their coach, though.
That's true.
Denver. They fired Mike Malone.
Right.
So I mean, you want to talk
all
about
over the place.
You want to talk about something we've never seen before in the NBA playoffs. This second round of the playoffs, the road team's 11-4.
It's insane.
Like we've never.
So this could be an outlier, but I'm looking at an entire sample here of 5 years, and this is, I think we can say justifiably, you can confirm it. This is the most random this sport's ever been.
Can you think
backing
about
up the tow truck right now?
Oh, I love that.
Is that the new NBA now? I mean, you guys watch hoop way more than me. Is this what the NBA is?
I can't speak to the last 5 years, but I think over the last couple of years, I do think this is the new NBA. I do think, and we're seeing it, and we're going to see it with the Boston Celtics, where the way you build a roster and the way you're able to keep or not keep a team together. This is today's NBA with how the CBA works. There's going to be a lot more parity. And look, we're going to have now. Boston's done. I'm reporting that, by the way. Boston's done.
Wow.
I'm reporting that. They are done. We're going to have for the 7th consecutive year a new champion. I mean, that's like it's never happened before. So this is the new NBA. And I can't speak to the last 5 years, but the last couple years, teams are getting used to this. This is how you have to build rosters now. I want to ask you guys about something that is really bothering me.
Wait, if I may, I know that you said 7 seasons, different champion, but let's really.
Do you need to approach, or are you okay there?
Well, let's really inspect these last 5 NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers Heat. Lakers kind of fell off being a title threat after they won that one in the bubble. They won an IST. Maybe they had a couple of times where their fan base would feel frisky, but not a real title
I think
threat.
they got to the West Finals 2 years ago.
But again, a random occurrence because they kind of fell off, tried to build themselves back up.
Yep.
Heat, okay, bubble. Weird. They got swept the very next year in the first round of the playoffs by the Bucks, who played the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals. Suns kind of fell off like
They were
right
a one-hit
after that.
wonder also, yeah.
Yeah, and they should have won that series. Yeah. Then you had Heat Nuggets. We can circle that as like that was pretty much the Heat making ECF after that, but Nuggets
Before that, in 22, the Heat made the East Finals, and 23 NBA Finals.
Didn't the following year after they made it to the NBA Finals, the Strus was that before or after?
That was 22. That was in the East Finals. They lost Game 7.
Yeah, so they made it all the way to the finals.
Yeah,
and they lose to the Celtics, who play the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
Who throughout this time weren't even in the conversation. They were like
it's kind of a surprise.
A champion from yesteryear, and they end up winning that.
Yeah.
Then the Celtics, okay, I guess we can piece together. The Celtics during this 5-year stretch are probably the most consistent team.
Yeah.
And they play the Mavs.
Consistently losing.
What are the Mavs? They just won the NBA lottery. This was several months ago.
So isn't this a good thing? Everything you're saying, isn't this good for the NBA?
I don't know. Because at the same time, simultaneously, you have such a change of the playing style, which might actually be the root cause of why everything is so random. But I don't know, because people make a lot about their TV ratings going down, whether that's a good faith argument or not.
Playoff numbers are way up.
Whether that's a good faith argument or not is to be determined. But the NBA was at its strongest when you can kind of count on the story arcs of certain teams. The Bulls were always there. Who was going to knock off the Bulls? You were very familiar with the Knicks story arc. You were very familiar with the Pacers.
Lakers, right.
When the Pistons have their run multiple times, you know the pieces, the players, and those stories actually carried over for the better part of a decade, helped this league. We're in the most random territory in NBA history right now, while everybody is saying there are things wrong with this sport. I'm trying to figure out, is what's wrong with the sport the teams at the end of it fighting it over?
No.
Or is it a larger issue that is probably contributing to these very random finals?
Just wait until you get Minnesota versus Indy in the NBA Finals.
Feels like the top teams are not as good.
I don't think that what contributes to either ratings overall being down, which they're way up in the playoffs, but ratings overall being down, lack of interest, what have you. I don't think it has to do with there not being this dynasty or consistent team winning. It has to be what has drawn me slightly away from the game, which is the style of play. The style of play, players not playing. I mean, the NBA player loves two things more than anything else. That's complaining and not playing, all right? And that stuff is a turnoff to me. And the style of play, all the three-point shooting, the Celtics being the biggest example, that's my biggest problem with today's NBA. And I think a lot of fans would echo the same sentiment.
I should correct myself. You know, the new leaf that I turned over is when I'm wrong, I'll admit it. Yeah. I did say that it kind of feels like you tune into these games in the first quarter, there's a 20-point deficit, and you can kind of write that game off. There has been 5 comebacks of 20 points or more so far this postseason. So
yeah, you don't panic any. Like if we go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, you're down by 20 in a play, you shut the game off.
Yeah, so shout out to that Twitter person that mentioned that to me. I would also like another study being done on how many of those 20-point games become 40-point games.
Because a lot of them have.
It kind of feels like the reason why I'm coming away feeling that way when I'm watching games is a lot of times when I do watch a game that's a 20-point deficit early on, it grows to a 40-point deficit, and there's no reason to watch this. And there are very few things in sports worse than when you build up all the drama, all the anticipation for an NBA playoff game, and it's a dud of a blowout.
Sure, but it's a numbers game, right? Because then you have those games that are really, really great, and that shows why the NBA playoff ratings are up. Because it's like, oh yes, this is what I've been searching for.
The NBA playoffs up because the New York market's making a deeper run, because the Boston market's there, because the Bay Area market is there.
We're only in the second round.
I understand, but there are some big time TV markets that were in
Sure, but the play has been great. The play has been great.
I mean, it's certainly been better than the years that I've highlighted, I think. If I could disassociate myself from my Heat fandom. This has been a fun NBA playoffs because there have been really dramatic games. And I got to tell you, and I said this last year, I understand why Dan turns us into WFAT. They got a juice to them. Their fan base has a juice to them. They get people talking. I was always the Heat homer in me was always bucking at the notion that the NBA is healthier when the Knicks are good. Because I had lived most of my life with the NBA being perfectly fine and the Knicks not being good at all. But now, in this moment, where the seas are a little bit more turbulent,
it's true.
It's helping.
Yeah.
It's helping.
True. Yeah. So, I went to both Panther games this weekend, Game 3 and Game 4.
Thank you. Not enough is being said about how you helped the team.
I had to pull up. And something really bothers me about, and I could tell Chris it bothers him too.
Say it, please.
I saw Chris at both games this weekend. He was there. He had to pull up
parked
also.
next to each other. The big parking lot. Zaz
Very
parks
random.
right next to me.
I literally pulled up right next to him, and
Say it. I know where you're going with this. Please.
Yeah,
say it. It needs to be said.
This has been bothering me for a couple of years. Okay, but it's really bad now.
The boom guys.
So
no, they brought it.
Look. The Panthers won the game, so they did a good job. Right. And by the way, Keith the Handle, shout out. Excellent job as well, banging the drum.
That's
Excellent
back.
job.
Now we're back. AJ, Big Boom, Big Justice, Yandel. This is much better than last round.
Does everyone sign the drum? I saw some people sign the drum.
Yes.
So, like, did Dan sign the drum as well?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah?
So, during the National Anthem over the last several years, the crowd always chants, red, and the Rockets' red glare. All right, that's the team's color. Okay, fine.
It's a hockey thing.
Okay, fine. Also, for the last several years, they chant Knight for Spencer Knight when that lyric comes across. They're still doing it.
Not only did he not play at all this season, like he was technically on our roster, like in our organization to start the year.
No, he played plenty this year. He did.
That's true.
He did, but whatever, okay? Because they've been chanting Knight for years, including years where he literally was not on the active roster.
That kind of felt more like support because he was taking that mental break too.
And it's Mental Health Awareness Month.
So but now
what are we doing here?
Look, there were reasons. Look, he was still on the roster, but now he's not on the roster.
Yeah. We traded him midseason.
He's not a legend.
So we don't care.
So now what happens, Billy, is you get to that part of the National Anthem, and there's still people shouting Knight.
Not as many, but it's still loud. It's audible.
Enough to hear, and then you always hear the murmuring after of the fans being like, why are we doing this?
Yeah. So game 3, Friday night, I'm wondering, and my kids are looking at me because my boys know I hate it. I mean, going back to the Stanley Cup Finals in 2023, we're playing the Knights, and the fans are yelling Knights during the National
Their
Anthem.
fans do that. We were in unison. It was the loudest part of the anthem.
It's a disgrace. So my boys are looking at me. They're like, it's coming, Dad. It's coming. And they know I hate it. And of course, you got the dopes who yell Knight. And then afterward, there was some booing. Like, fans were not happy about it on Friday.
Yeah.
But then Sunday, Game 4 rolled around, and the Knight chant was even louder.
Terrible.
And like
they knew you were in the building. That's
we got to
why.
be better than this.
We're all, as
part
fans,
of the culture now.
as a fan base here, we're already behind the 8 ball.
It's a bad look for us.
Because we've had lousy attendance forever until the last few years. All right, now we got great support. We're a Sun Belt team. We don't know hockey down here.
We ain't got no history.
Like we're already behind it, and the dopey fans who are still yelling Knight. Like obviously you're embarrassing yourself. That goes without saying. But you're embarrassing me too. You're embarrassing everyone in the building.
Like, do we need to should they put something up before? Hey, don't yell Knight. Like it's that bad. Like I don't know. Like
are these rabble rousers?
Are they dumb?
Are they trolling us, or do they not know he's gone?
Because
Bob's had a pretty consistent string of playing.
Like literally, Spencer Knight did not contribute to them winning a Stanley Cup. That's a fact. He had no contribution. I wonder if it is fans who don't know why they yell Knight.
They went to a game a few years ago. They remember Knight, so they're just like, we're gonna yell it.
Yeah. And it's coming from the upper deck. It is.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm always turning my head looking up there.
Because I sit in the upper deck for Panther games. I sit front row in the upper deck.
You got to handle your business up there. You got to get them in line. I'll look around when that happens. They know better.
If I worked for the Panthers, I would literally be having a team meeting with all the ticket vendors around. Like, when someone walks by you, you tell every person that walks in this door, don't yell Knight.
I think you tell the ushers, you see one of these, they got to go.
Every person that walks by you, don't say Knight. Maybe
Isn't that
a sign.
how you stop it? You kick people out. Yeah. That's going to stop.
Don't make me do a PSA before. Don't make Goldie go up there and embarrass himself and just so you know, we traded away Spencer Knight. We got Seth Jones. He scored a goal the other day.
That's actually what they should do. Those little intermission Goldie little updates. Just be like, hey, by the way, guys, don't yell Knight.
Yeah, you like that Seth Jones assist? Well, we have Seth Jones because we traded away Spencer Knight, who you insist on invoking his name during the National Anthem despite no real contributions to this franchise over the last few years.
I'd rather them yell Jones
or
instead
Seth.
of Knight.
Instead of that would at least make. I would be like,
Yes.
all right, we're a smart fan base.
But
now.
I also love the anthem, and I don't want to disrespect the anthem because you don't want to say Jones when Knight is the lyric.
Which bothers you more, yelling of Knight during the National Anthem Or the USA chants at the end of the game.
They're coded.
All right, let's do some post-game. We bring Juju aboard here. Juju is decked out in his Celtics gear. I'm guessing that's a Ray Allen jersey there, or is that Paul Pierce? Ray Allen, who is that?
Yeah, it's a Paul Pierce jersey. Today is not a great day on the Juju Gotti Ranch.
Now, when you see, speaking of Paul Pierce, when you see Jason Tatum leave the game in the wheelchair, isn't your first thought, okay, he's going to be back in a few minutes?
I mean, actually, it wasn't my first thought. My first thought, as a Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen fan, it was like, oh, first time other Celtics fans. Like Patrick Mahomes does this to us every year. And so my heart is actually prepared and hardened for these moments, but it still hurts so very bad.
We've spent much of the show trying to get inside the head of a Celtics fan, wondering, like, is this window shut now? If the worst fears are realized, that Jason Tatum has a torn Achilles, which is what a lot of people are theorizing. You're our resident Celtics fan. I'm pretty sure you think the series is over, right?
Yes.
Is everything over?
Everything is dark, brother. Like, and I want to give credit to the New York Knicks. Like, Jason Tatum's injury, although like very unfortunate, that wasn't the deciding factor to that game. Those guys played their ass off. They've been doing their thing the entire series. So I don't want the Jason Tatum injury to distract from their salutes. You feel me? But yeah, bro, the future looks bleak now. Porzingis seems to have put out his farewell Instagram post the other day. The new management, the new ownership, I mean, they'll never be able to take 2024 away from us. Sheesh.
I do want to throw in a quick fine. You did say you feel me. That's
true.
$2.
I
don't want
dang
to,
it!
Yeah, my bad. I'm just trying to.
$2.
Just trying to keep you accountable.
That's true.
This is a bad $6 billion that was spent. If I could just go ahead and judge this one right off the bat, bad $6 billion. Too much.
Right.
Juju,
right.
You got a top 5 for us today?
Yes, I have a top 5 for you today. This was definitely in lighter times, like trying to bring some fun to the segment. Top 5 athletes that would not have survived the social media era while they played.
Okay.
I was brought to, because I see Ant-Man doing a lot of stuff, and I see a lot of players, and I'm like, dang, Shaq and Charles Barkley, they be saying a lot of crazy stuff. So yeah, top 5 athletes that wouldn't have survived the social media era. OLI, Lamar Odom. He was kind of in there, kind of not, but it wasn't really hitting while he was there.
What was I missing the other day when Lamar Odom was doing the pregame ceremony in Vegas for the Knights and Oilers? Like, is Lamar Odom from Vegas?
He's a Vegas guy.
He spent a lot of time there.
He's a Vegas guy.
Lamar Odom.
He's a Mr. Vegas.
A lot of time spent on the ranch. You know what I mean?
Somebody must have canceled last minute, though, for that, to your point.
Carrot Top.
OLI number 2, Paul Pierce. I fear he would have told the truth one too many times back in those days.
He's already stepped into it a couple of times in the social
Now,
media age.
Juju, we don't
Right.
actually believe that Paul Pierce walked 20 miles to work the other day, do we?
Nah, I think he had a Jeffrey from Fresh Prince situation. Like, he did a little bit, then hopped in the cab, threw some sweat on him. Like, oh man, I walked all these miles. But hey,
I think you're right.
it's all for the camera. Content over everything. Number 5, Karl Malone.
Oh boy, dicey.
IYK. Number 4, Tim Hardaway. IYK. Number 3, Shaq.
Damn, you think so?
Worse than them?
Shaq under Karl Malone.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's thriving under this situation. It's not like he's inconspicuous. I think
feel
people
like
know when
Shaq
Shaq
has-
enters a room.
Like, has Shaq ever had any public embarrassments?
Little things here and there, like public split ups and whatnot, but no.
Whatever, that's real life stuff.
Everyone, he kind of has like that Charles Barkley vibe to him. Like, what are we really going to say about this guy? That's gonna
No, but at
embarrass
least
him?
Barkley when he was a player, he'd been arrested for beating people up. Remember, he threw a guy off a balcony one time, and the judge said, "Do you regret your actions?" And he says, "I only regret it was just the second floor."
What would Judge
Oh, my
Zaslow say?
About what? About what?
What would your ruling be?
Yeah, what would your ruling be?
On
second floor.
On Sir Charles.
Oh, I would rule. I mean, it depends on what the guy did, but I think I'm ruling. Barkley, it's okay. Guy lived.
Round mound.
Okay.
With prejudice.
Number 2, the Worm, Dennis Rodman.
Do you think Rodman would have been active on social media as a player? Yeah, you think so?
I think people around him would have been active and catching him in a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, he would have been partying. And, like, people would have been complaining about, like, how he's not taking the game seriously.
Kind of like Harden.
The off-field antics, though, like, I don't think, like, that would just be, like, a drop in a bucket.
How about the stories, like when he was? I think it was when he was with the Lakers, and it's toward the end of his career, where he played the whole game. He wouldn't shower, and he'd just go straight to the club all stankin' with the girls all over him. It's gross, right?
Very gross. And number 1, the answer, Allen Iverson. I think my boy would have had one good season and he would have been out of here.
That's a good one.
But salute to him. Although also it's not a great day for me at all as a Celtics fan. So this is definitely not warranted from me. But with all the news that broke yesterday, I have a victory lap I could take a little bit around right now. I sent a video to the video team. Video team, Brother Lewis, can you cue that guy up for me, please? Nico will come out smelling like roses at the end of this. We saw the game last night, and I don't think he was oogling or ogling Luka in the beginning of the game. I think he was brave enough, number 1, to take his ass out there and sit mid-court when a lot of GMs would have crept in the skybox and been unseen and unheard of. He sat up right there at the half-court line and looking at Luka like, look at Luka, fat ass over there. That's what I think he was thinking. He wasn't oogling. I think the Mavericks are going to come out of this on top at the end of the season. I am now a Dallas Mavericks fan because of this. Everybody hate Nico. I salute Nico. I see what you saw, Nico.
Look at you, hey, Juju.
You feel me? Sometimes even a garbage can gets a steak.
$2 fine, though. We feel you.
Ah, dang it. $4 in one episode. Okay, yeah.
Costly
Also, lastly, potentially interested. I don't know if that could count as news or journalism. I'm with my brother Greg Cote's side. Potentially interested in the Miami Heat is kind of like helps prevent against the coronavirus. You know, it's like, what are you really saying? But salute to your news sources.
Thank you. Top notch. Juju, let's do some polls. What is everybody saying out there?
Yes, sir. Poll number 1. Bigger story. Knicks up 3-1 or Nico gets the number 1 pick. 62% of the audience says Nico gets the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Do people forget that Mike Ryan broke the Messi to Miami story? 83% of the audience says yes.
Wow, does that insult you, Mike Ryan?
I mean, it was a pretty big scoop. And it's not like I kind of got lucky and I just crept onto the scene. I mean, this was a year and a half of very thorough reporting.
Yeah.
Going up against like the top dogs in the industry.
Yep.
Right. In Fabrizio's face, is The Rehearsal the most ambitious show in the history of television? 51% of the audience says yes, it is.
Wow, that's neck and neck, Juju.
Right. That's a crazy show. Like you said, I tried to get my girl in on the show, and she was like, what am I watching? And I'm
Same
like,
with my wife, Juju. I swear, we watched the first episode. She's just like, what is this?
Right. And the American Idol segment, it's a lot going on. Last poll, if you say the phrase, further I say if not, are you a bleepo? 94% of the audience says yes, you are, and those are your polls.
Yeah, that was an easy one. Good job, Juju.
Thank you, guys. I'll go cry in the car.